Okay. All right, everybody. John out here with you. It's a Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. I'm going to join Mr. Nava here in progress in a moment. Ian Genge's already joining on the stream. Let me give you the starters. For the Vegas Golden Knights, and head coach by John Tortorella, is Jack Eichel and Barbashev, Peveldor, Fiat, Braden McNabb, and Shea Theodore. William Karlsson, Brett Howden, Mesh Marta, Noah Hannafin, Rasmus Anderson, Colton Sissons, Tomas Hurdle, Mark Stone, Nick Dowd, Cole Smith, Keegan Kolesar, Jeremy Lozon, Dylan Coghlan. We'll see if Caden Korchak going to get the start in the defensive back end today. Let me go ahead and just refresh this one more time to see if the starters have changed, but I think it's going to be Lozon going to get punched in the lineup tonight. And for the home team, the Carolina Hurricanes at Lenovo Center, it's Sebastian, Andrei, Svechnikov, Seth, Jarvis, as it normally is in that first line with Jacob Slavin and Jalen Chatfield. Logan Stankelman, Taylor Hall, Jackson Blake, Keandre Miller, Sean Walker. And we talked about it in the preview alongside Alec, that those two lines in the mix of Olmat and the forwards and defense have about 54 points and a plus 52. It's important that Vegas will shut them down. Jordan Stahl, Nick Ehlers, Jordan Martinook, Mark Jankowski will carry Eric Robinson with Shayne Gostisbehere and Alex Nikishin. Freddie Anderson will be the goaltender of record per usual for the Carolina Hurricanes. He has been unbelievable across the board. As we said, 12-1. He's responsible for all of that, and those numbers are outstanding. I'm going to go ahead and join Alec in progress here, and then we will get things going.
Quite honest, I wasn't paying enough attention to the Knicks to truly understand what type of team they were.
And now we see the continuity that the Knicks have heading into the final. Oh, losing Dmitry Orlov, you can say that it's addition by subtraction. Alexander Nikishin has been phenomenal. John, how are you doing here?
I'm doing well, my friend. Again, thank you yesterday for joining in for the Stanley Cup Finals preview. I think that was a lot of fun. We got some good information across. I'm just excited to get this starting. And as you told me before, both of these teams, they're certainly up for this, could win it. It's going to be interesting to see how game one goes. Alec, I'm just curious, alongside with Ian here, appreciate seeing all the boys in. The way the first period's going to start, we know how Carolina loves to get out to those leads and kind of hold it. And I'm just glad you'll be in rotation with me in the play-by-play because we might get a couple overtimes in this series.
We're just waiting for such as well because it's not been since Game 3 in the Carolina-Montreal series since we last had a playoff overtime game. And even though it seemed to give it the appearance of a close game, let's be honest, that wasn't a close game. The Carolina-Montreal series wasn't even particularly close by goal differential, shot differential, expected goal differential. Well, Montreal is a few pieces away from truly contending. But Carolina, as I said with Ian, it's a breath of fresh air making it to the final.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you have to have, like you said, not only the breath of fresh air, but the weight feels like it's lifted. You get the final form of what we all expected the Carolina Hurricanes to be over the years. They've been a contending top four team. They've been consistently good. The organization is well run. And it's time now for them to complete their immortality and lift the Stanley Cup. I know we got a long way to go in this series, but I still think from when I looked at some of the numbers that Carolina is penciled in as the favorite.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, before this matchup starts, there is one team that I would like to discuss. Because we said before the playoffs started that they needed to win the Cup this year, and they got President's Trophy curse set for 2015 Blackhawks is undefeated. Where do the Avalanche go from here?
I had thoughts initially when Cooper joined me for the third period of that game four, and I didn't say Jared Bednar is going to get fired, but I don't think the possibility is zero. I'm not saying he's one of the best coaches in the world. I put the likelihood at well under 10%. But when you've made all the shuffles that you've done for forward, defense, and goaltending, what else can you really do, Alec?
Well, now the whole input is falling apart. There have to be some changes made, and Colorado has to think about clearing up cap. You
Right.
may be thinking about a face like Valerie Nichushkin may have played his final game in Colorado. They're up against the cap this offseason, and with several slots to be filled in the roster. Now, Jared Bednar's staying put, but Chris McFarland, he's accepted a GM job at Nashville. So who's getting the GM job in Colorado? Well, it's a familiar face. Joe Sakic has retained it.
That makes sense then. Again, so that would probably be what you would need to do. I mean, those guys have done a good job. They came close. I mean, I know the sweep says no, but everybody expected, including myself, for that series to be short in Colorado to be here at this point, but they're not. If it was Colorado and Carolina, I would have been interested to see whether or not Carolina could keep that defensive approach. But I think this is going to be more of a chess match than that would have been.
Yeah, because you got to start the year. Let's not be around the bush. Freddie Anderson was absolutely cooked. He was. It looked like he was getting ready to start his journeyman goaltender arc at the start of this season. Brandon Busty takes over, saves Carolina's season. They go in at the top seed in the East. And then come the playoffs, you got Freddie Anderson back in net, which maybe not for Hurricanes fans, but for the rest of us look outside looking in, that was a bit of a head scratcher because you're not going with the guy that for the majority of the season got you to the playoffs. And then Freddie Anderson says, "Yeah, you thought I was done. Who decided that?"
Man, I know I didn't watch a ton of this at the time, but I'm sure we all did when we were kids. It's like Goku in the hyperbolic chamber. All of a sudden, you give him one of those sensu beans, and there you go. Freddie Anderson back on his game, isn't he?
Yeah, and I forget, Alec. You'll know. I thought I saw this graphic, but has Freddie Anderson broken the team record for shutouts, or is he still tied at 3?
He's officially broken it.
Officially broken. Well, that's all you need to know. He's putting up a more generational run than Cam Ward right now, and that's hard to say.
You know what? Honestly, I can't even argue that, Ian. That's a good point.
By stats, yes. And it backs it up pretty well for his reputation. Of course, we were questioning his playoff reputation, but he's been phenomenal. 141 GA, 931 save percentage. The stats back it up. And even though the light workload may be part of questioning, you cannot deny that his talent has obviously been there. His counterpart, Carter Hart's been through all sorts of scrutiny, warranted, of course, though the talent, of course, is still there. 222 GA, 924 save percentage, and like Carolina, Vegas had all sorts of goaltending questions entering the playoffs. Where are they going to start? Where to be Carter Hart, Akira Schmid, or their cup champion in 2023, Aiden Hill? They chose to write Hart based on the momentum he had under John Tortorella, and it worked.
And Aiden Hill, in comparison to Carter Hart when he won 3 years ago, again, he had pretty much the same defense around him. I get Zach Whitecloud and some of the pieces that moved from Asmus Anderson and Noah Hannafin. But my point is, they've been able to cover everything in the slot and play good defense across the board. Right now, the difference from 3 years ago is Aiden Hill's kind of just lost it. Carter Hart stepped into that same spot as his teams continue to play the same strong defense, and it's held so far. But we'll be interested to see as this series moves along. if Carter Hart is the one that turns into a pumpkin, or if it's Freddie Anderson. Because I think if we both had our wits about us here, between all of us, probably wouldn't have expected both of these goaltenders to be this darn good right now.
We wouldn't, but it's a defense in front of him that's helping him out, and he too is helping out the defense out. Of course, we talked about Shayne, we talked about Noah Hanneman, Rasmus Anderson, the two Calgary boys. Don't count the forwards, especially Mitch Marner, who's the Conn Smythe front runner for the Golden Knights, and he's finally had his big breakthrough in the postseason. 1.31 points per game, where he leads the team, and as a postseason leading 21 points, with the second most shots on net for Vegas. Of course, the offense is there, but what he's doing right now for the Knights isn't comparable to what he did for the Leafs in the last 9 years.
So, Alec, I was going to say this because I know you're going to close tonight anyway. I think you should get things started. It is your team.
Oh, thanks, Johnson. And why not? As the Stanley Cup is being presented here in front at Lenovo Center. And guess who is the siren sounder for Game 1 at the Lenovo Center? A familiar face from the 2006 Cup winning team, Eric Stahl.
That's going to be fun. I mean, you can talk about the numbers that this series might do across the board for the fan bases that are no longer involved. But I think, gentlemen, we can say this honestly. And between Carolina and Vegas, they routinely have no problems selling out their ring. They got some rabid fan bases.
Of course.
So, yes. I do want to say one thing in regards to why both of these goalies are playing the way they are. The fact of the matter is, Frederik Andersen and Carter Hart at the most base level, they're both playing this good out of spite. For completely different reasons, but they're both playing this good out of spite. Freddie Andersen was rode out on a rail out of Toronto. No one wanted him back there. So he's giving the proverbial finger to them. And Carter Hart, look, he is who he is. We all know what's going on, but right now, he's playing like a man who he knows everyone hates him. He feels that I emphasize this, he feels that he has been wrong. He feels that he has been wrongfully scrutinized. So he too is going to be playing with a level of not necessarily anger, but pettiness.
I don't want to burn this too much because we got a long way to go in the series. But Alec, I can say this honestly, really for Carter Hart, he's still in the first half of his career. He's got a long way to go and a lot left to prove in the tank. Freddie Anderson's more toward the back nine, where he gets a chance to maybe lift the cup and not right off in the sunset just yet. But really, Carter Hart's still kind of just getting going.
And this may be the last good chance for Freddie Anderson to win a Stanley Cup, given how much he has left at 36 years old. And the big question about his future is in question. Not to mention about the futures of these two teams. Because if you look elsewhere, going onto the IHF Worlds, whoever wins the Stanley Cup here between Vegas and Carolina is going to be on the clock. No, as a matter of fact, they're on the clock right now because Alexander Barkov is back, winning the Worlds with Finland, and he's set to rejoin the Florida Panthers next season, and hoping that his team is fully healthy, including himself.
I will also say this too. I know it's bronze, but I saw all the United States getting dogged, and then Norway got bronze over Canada. So it just never ends. But let's just enjoy the Stanley Cup Finals.
Absolutely. Of course.
Sorry, but before the official puck drop, I do want to know one more guy. Mitch Marner. Like Freddie Anderson, he is also playing out of spite. But I think, gentlemen, it is, no matter who wins this, it goes without saying. Both of them Cleveland have proven one thing. Toronto, or more specifically Maple Leafs, you are the problem.
And I think I could speak for all of us, Ian. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think we all generally kind of like Mitch Marner. I have no problem with the way that he plays and everything he does.
No. I still don't know where this whole cancer accusation came from.
I've never seen it.
Me neither. Well, I've never seen any of such accusations, but the fact that he's playing out of his mind, of course, you mentioned it, Ian. Now, also, we go into the lineups as the anthem is nearing its end. We start with Vegas, as their lines begin with Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, Pavel Dorofeev, Brett Howden, William Karlsson, and Mitch Marner, Tomas Hertl, Colton Sissons, Mark Stone, Cole Smith, Nick Dowd, Keegan Colasar. Defensively, they're led by Brayden McNabb, Shayne. The Calgary boys go ahead of it, Rasmus Anderson. Jeremy Lauzon, who has his first game back in the lineup since the Utah series, being paired next to Dylan Coghlan. Carter Hart's the starter. Aiden Hill is the backup. They're head coached by John Tortorella. His assistants are John Stevens, Dominic Ducharme, Joe Ward, Sean Burke, Sean Farrell, and Dave Rogowski. For Carolina, their lines are Andrei Svechnikov, Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, Taylor Hall, Logan Stankoven, Jackson Blake, Nikolaj Ehlers, Jordan Stahl, Jordan Martinook, William Carrier, Mark Jankowski, and Eric Robinson. On the defense, it's Jacob Slavin and Jalen Chatfield, Keandre Miller and Sean Walker, Shane Gostisbehere and Alexander Nikishin. Freddie Anderson's the starter and net. Brandon Bussey is the backup. Head coach is Rod Brind'Amour. The assistants are Jeff Daniels, Tim Gleason, Paul Schonfelder, and Chris Abdi. Our referees for tonight's game are Wes McCauley and Chris Rooney. Our linesmen are Matt McPherson and Devin Bird. So this is the Stanley Cup Final Game 1 and set to get underway soon.
Ian, I know Alec probably already asked you this, but very quickly, how many games do you think this series goes? I'm not going to ask you to pick a winner, but did you think of a game amount?
7.
7?
This is going. It is going 7 if we are getting peak Hart and peak Anderson.
Okay.
That's the thing. If we get peak goalie play, it is going 7. Now if one of them goes pumpkin, obviously that tilts it. But for now, it's 7 because I don't see either of them falling off a cliff right now.
Let's see if we get overtime tonight, Alec. I'm just kind of feeling it in my bones. I'm glad that we're in rotation. You get set to take it away. Have some fun with it, my friend. I hope you get some success.
Funny how you mentioned overtime. I haven't even covered a playoff overtime game yet. We'll see if this is it. Here we go. Game 1. Vegas, Carolina. The Stanley Cup is on the line. It's played back by Freddie Anderson. Down towards the near side is the Air Jordan line. Stahl, Martinook, and Ehlers, as I said, because Ehlers' nickname is Fly, and he's going to fly. 4-2-1, he scores! Oh, man, what a start! It's the Fly guy!
I have chills, my friend. Great call for you. A 2-on-1. Ehlers takes the shot. The former Winnipeg Jet. He just slides that past Carter Hart's got no chance. In 25 seconds into this ball game, 1-0 Carolina.
Jeez, can you let the people sit down with their food and their drink? Good Lord, I'm seeing it now. A man has barely gotten to his seat and already he's spilled some of his beer. Good Lord.
Theodore got beat there, Alec. He got beat pretty hard.
Yeah, he did. Off the inside the post, and Nikolaj Ehlers' first career Stanley Cup Final game. Who says you need experience to thrive in the Stanley Cup Final this early? What a start for Ehlers and the Canes. This is face-off is going to come outside of the Carolina, and Uline is out there. And yes, this is the equivalent of the HBK line, the Hall, Stankoven, and Blake line. Here's Blake trying to center it for Hall. Won a Hart Trophy of the New Jersey Devils. It's Miller and Walker out there on the ice at the same time. This second pairing has been excellent as Barter got a chance. Barter on the feed. And a sharp angle shot was turned away by Freddie. Hall clears it out. Though ahead of it, a former Carolina Hurricane, Sends this one around the boards as Marner is canceled out. Behind the net, the Canes look to move it up the far side, and they will as Lazon gets it away from Hall, but not for long though. Taking this back is Stankoven. Back to the left point, Slavin. Here's Chatfield. Chatfield shot. That was a hard pass. Goes back for Hall and now play. To Slavin off the post. That went up the outside the post as Chatfield kept it in. Pass intended for Slavin was broken up, and Vegas will take this back. They've now made 4 Stanley Cup final appearances, and the number of times they missed the playoffs, as John and I mentioned in the preview show yesterday. From the left point is held in. This bounces up into the near corner. Seth Jarvis. His Lions' best showing in the Eastern Conference Final, in which they scored a combined 5 goals. Sebastian's lone goal of that series was a power play goal. Carolina hasn't struck much on the power play this postseason, but both teams have been dominant on the penalty kill. We have an icing.
Man, oh man, a quick goal, 25 seconds, and a chance off the post. I know we said that Vegas is comfortable playing at any sort of pace, no matter the score. But if you're Rod Brind'Amour, I know you're not going to show it on the emotion, but you got to be elated with this start.
You have to. Off the crossbar for Jacob Slavin. He had Hart beat Walker's side.
Yeah, he had him beat dead to rights, if not for that left side of the post. There was a good inside out there for Slavin. Looks like we're going to get that line back out there with Sebastian on the top.
Yep, the top line comes back out there, and is Rod Brind'Amour, a technician at head coach, basically one of the greatest coaches in the 21st century in the NHL, and John Tortorella. He's gone 22 years without a Stanley Cup final appearance, the longest wait for any active coach the league has ever seen right now. Instead, it's the Jankowski line out there. Shayne Gostisbehere, cross-corner dump in behind Hart. It'll be collected by McNabb, the former Los Angeles King. From the near half boards, they're fighting for possession of this puck, poked away by Dowd. It'll go behind Hart, or it's collected by McNabb. White up the far side and out to center. Vegas looking for the first goal at the final. It took Nikolaj Ehlers all of 25 seconds to score first in game 1. Carrying an original misfit, who's in the second year of a 6-year deal with the Hurricanes worth $2 million per year. Anderson tried to throw one to the net. It's blocked by Gostisbehere. He's taken more of a defensive approach in recent years without losing his offensive touch. It is Anderson who mishandled the puck. It'll be kept on the backhand. Ehlers fired this wide. He wanted to go 2 for 2. It is Walker from the right side past Eichel. Centering pass stopped away. Martin swinging a miss on the key. Racing back is Andrei Miller, who has not scored yet, but he's been a revelation this postseason. 8 assists in this postseason. Here is Ehlers. Feeding it up the far side for Martinook. Couldn't reach it. Here's Lazon, making his return for the first time since the Utah series. Lazon's second attempt at a clear. Now down up the far side. Dorfield had it knocked away, and Carolina will instead go for a change. 3 minutes and 25 seconds deep. Ehlers, the only goal. This was moved up. Coghlan will see the icing get waved off from the near corner, moves to even Stankoven. By the penalty box doors, it takes a high bounce. Blake in pursuit of Wild Bill William Karlsson. The entry is knocked away, and a lucky man is going to take this home.
We said this in the preview, and I think it's worth repeating. He got that goal there for Ehlers from the Stahl and Martinook forward line. You had Stankoven, Hall, Blake, Miller, and Walker all on the second line combined for forwards and defense that have 50-something points, but a plus 54 or more. And that third line is the one that gets it started. You get that added depth for Carolina, they get that first goal, that's a big bonus.
And get this catch, boys. That goal from Ehlers was the 3rd fastest in a Game 1 in Stanley Cup Final history. The 21 seconds was the fastest. The record was set by Reggie Leach. Here's Slavin around the near side. Hall would have been offside, and the officials catch him. 16:03 left in this first period. Both teams had a shot apiece. And John Tortorella, 7-0-1 the regular season, 12-4 in the playoffs. So combined between these two, Tortorella has a Golden Knights record of 19-4-1.
Can't ask for anything more than that. I don't think even Vegas expected it to be that much different when he took over. That's ridiculous.
Of course. And after this season comes a curious question if Vegas is going to keep him or if they're going to let him walk because his contract is just for this season only. And whether or not they keep him is anyone's guess. But for now, his task is only one, winning Lord Stanley. From the far side is dumped in, he'll be collected by Miller. Backhanded away from Tomas Hertl, bounces behind the boards. It'll be Stone Phoenix for Hertl. Hertl shoots, blocked down the body in front. It'll be held in by Theodore. From the near corner, fans banging the glass. Hertl is tied up by Miller, jabbed away by Jarvis. It'll be collected by Carolina. Moving up through center, Svechnikov deflected this one up front. And they go to nice game control. Carolina's dominating each of the three periods in this postseason, and they're 5-0 in overtime. Vegas likewise undefeated in overtime, where they are 3-0 in the playoffs. Though they have not won a lot of their minutes, they're pretty even in the first two periods, but they are very comfortable playing from behind. They are the best third period team in the NHL. Even dating back to when Bruce Cassidy was coach, as a whistle blows here, 5:03 into the first.
You talked about it on that third line for the Carolina Hurricanes and Shayne Gostisbehere and Alex Nikishin, and that being your backhand defense. I am interested, as you mentioned, Jeremy Lozon getting the start tonight. Caden Korchak's been really good with Dylan Coghlan, especially in that series against Colorado. We'll see if Tortorella makes some changes as the series moves forward.
Brind'Amour has been involved in 98 of the Hurricanes' 100 postseason wins. You want to talk about someone who embodies the franchise? This is your guy. Whether it be a player or a coach. Up the far side bench. Oh my goodness, what a hit along the bench! Sent them flying around through the ice. Jankowski moves up near side. The fans are pumped up after that hit. Rock him, stuck him, as clean as a whistle. Jordan Staal is back out. Off the far side is Dorothea backed up with Chatfield. Jacob Slavin with an active stick to knock their way for the approaching Golden Knight. Turnover. Here's Dorothea behind, shot blocked by Slavin in front. Barbashev backhands was swept away by Ehlers. It is Dorothea on the key, but Carolina got a good stick there. Jordan Staal, his last Cup final appearance came in 2009 with the Pittsburgh Penguins. His 101 his career. Slavin blasts one on a one-timer. Hard gobbles it up, and we'll get our first ice scrapage of the final. Just the first shot on goal in the entire game. We're 6:05 gone the first.
Yeah, when you say it like that, Alec, it's hard to say who's got the momentum other than Carolina with that goal. Hopefully get a chance to look at that hit. But they're kind of closing that space down for Vegas here inside that first 6 minutes. It's been a good start for them.
It is. Of course, defensive zone, they've been excellent. Offensive zone, the chances are there throughout. Vegas is holding their own defensively. As we mentioned, that defense is going to be the name of the game in the Stanley Cup Final, especially when it comes to when it comes to special teams. And I feel power play goals are going to have to be earned because both these penalty kills have been really good.
Yeah, if you combine both of those, again, Carolina just over 90%, Vegas just under that, the portion, as you said. Both teams really don't take a lot of penalties either, so that earned proponent that you just talked about makes a lot of sense. Dare I say, and we'll see what happens in the series. I know Hockey Guy mentioned it a little bit. We might actually see more shorthanded goals than we do power play goals between these two. It could get pretty interesting.
Oh, that would be a beautiful sight for more shorthanded goals in this series. If we remember, there was a tie in which one personal penalty kill was so historically good to the point in which it was playing way over their heads. And yes, we speak of how many power play goals were allowed by this penalty kill, but even though they didn't win the cup, the Edmonton Oilers from 2 years ago had a penalty kill rate of over 94%.
Yeah, it was historically good when they were able to cover. They just couldn't finish it off against the Florida Panthers. And as Ian mentioned, after that, probably don't come anywhere close. If you look in, I would just throw this out there. Let's say that it wasn't Vegas and it was Edmonton. And an Edmonton team from a couple of years ago had to play this version of the Carolina Hurricanes. I think the Carolina Hurricanes would have won the Cup. I just don't think the Edmonton Oilers would have had enough.
I mean, of course, you're relying a lot of David and Draisaitl.
Yeah.
You can only rely on both of them for so much before you ran out of gas. Ehlers had to get a new stick because the one he had on the ice was broken.
Well, he's already had a good fortune there. He's going to have to make sure he gets good fortune with this new blade.
Of course. It is solid Eichel. That's the matchup Brind'Amour wants. And to Brind'Amour's happiness, Stahl wins this face after the long shot. Rebound, Stahl got tied up by Eichel, whose 200-foot game has grown under the previous Vegas head coach, Bruce Cassidy. Slavin pins Dorothy from behind and pokes it away. A long reach, but Brett Howden kept the puck in the zone. From the near corner, Chatfield shoves this man William Karlsson. Barbashev rushes in to deliver a hit. Ehlers gets this over to Martinook, but now unable to keep. And Dorofeev was on the receiving end. He did not get out.
Man, Dorofeev was anchors offside there in front of Freddie Anderson as we get a stop at 13:25.
He thought that the puck did not exit the zone, but there was a gap of white ice in between the puck and the blue line. That was clearly offside. We still don't have a replay of the hit, and we don't know who was the one hitting the Vegas player, but that was a thunderous hit. Slapped into the defensive zone, the Vegas end as Hart plays it to the far side. Stankover rushes back and backhands one to Hall. He has 16 points this postseason, leading the Carolina Hurricanes. Blake escapes Carlson. Jackson Blake inside for Hall, holding for the left point, beating Miller. Miller sends one to the glove of Hart, who will hang on.
So Carolina is going to get a shot here. It'll be 3-1 on the board. 4 shots, almost inside 10 minutes of action here. If this is the pace that we're expecting to get throughout, the first team that probably get to 20 is going to be the one that might be the victor as far as shots on goal. And normally it doesn't work that way, but I think you kind of get my point. There could be some low event propensity defense between these two because they both kind of play as a chess match, as you said.
R6 this shot away from Aho, and of course, as you mentioned, that these two are fried by defense. And if it is a low event show, nobody will really be surprised. Normally, playoffs are when the game slows down. That's when it gets low event. Stankoven has 9 goals, which is third most in the NHL, as Carolina waits up, waiting for some fresh faces on the ice. Slavin sees that nobody is changing. Deflected from the far side, Vegas will recoil. And moving up the near side, it bounced up off of Hurdle, kept in by Aho. Jarvis, glove by Hart, with 12:18 left, and that's the 5th shot by Carolina. Vegas has just 1.
That was the most dangerous, in my opinion, there. You got Aho, Jarvis set that up near the right side dot. You had numbers there. Carter Hart makes a big save early with the glove hand.
And Jarvis was going top shelf on this shot, going glove side on Hart. And it's not a bad idea, and those top shelf looks can be the most dangerous. He has 3 goals this postseason after having 32 in the regular season. If there's a time to show up, it's now for Seth Jarvis. The second line's out there for Carolina again, matched up against Vegas' second line. So second line against second line. Dumped in by Carolina. Barner will grab up and feed for Shayne Theodore. Blake stolen away. Oh! That's stopped by Hart. Blake gets it back along the near side, will feed Hall. Taylor Hall wanted to feed Miller, but that bounced out the skate. Initially, Hall was supposed to be a throw-in in the original Mikko Rantanen trade. He stayed along after Rantanen was shipped off to Dallas for Logan Stankoven 2 firsts and 2 birds. Fed over to the right circle, a mishandle, and Vegas will come back with this puck. Dumped in as Colasar and Cole Smith trying to drag their ways around. Anderson with a save, and Carolina will turn it over. Here's Anderson, wakes up. Glove down by Freddie Anderson again.
That was very calm there. There was a sequence just prior to the Freddie Anderson snip save there as it jumped off the stick, but there was a chance where there was a pass missed in the middle of the slot. Carolina probably could have made it 2-0. You see Bill Belichick with Gary Bettman.
The legendary New England Patriots head coach is in attendance, now the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels football program, as the Bird line is back out again, the Air Jordan line, I should say again. Martinook, Stahl, Ehlers against the top line of Eichel, Barbashev, and Dorofeev. The linesman hasn't dropped the puck yet. Now he has, as Stahl wins it with some help. Dump down the middle. As it's bouncing up through Martinook as he looks to drop it back for Stahl. Instead, he'll whip it around for Ehlers at the far corner. Ehlers gets stick lifted, rushing onto his Flavin. Oh, last one, top of a block. He spent some time with the Hurricanes. He has had some time with the Winnipeg Jets. Around the far side, centering pass, and Eichel got tied up. Had his stick lifted. And from the near side here, Stahl waits. Will deliver for Slavin. Slavin across the ice is batted down off a stick. Dorofeev loose. Stahl's tied up. From the left circle is picked up by Vegas again. The Golden Knights survive several close calls, and it's still 1-0. Sean Walker, the former Philadelphia Flyer, and from the near side, Miller, the Wisconsin product, sends it to length, though ahead have been in pursuit from Andrei Svechnikov. Puck poked away, and this will bounce up towards the far side. No bounce off of Vegas players. This was dumped in from well behind the red line ice.
Man, oh man, you're giving the crowd every single reason to keep staying into this game. If you're Vegas, some of these turnovers here in front of Carter Hart have been a little bit exasperating, and that was a good stick lift there for Slavin on the back end for Eichel. Could have walked in for a goal.
He could have, he would have. As Eichel loses his face up, Hannafin gets around for Tomas Hertl, but Alexander Nikishin collapses in to hound him down. Delivered back for Hannafin and out for Captain Mark Stone. Stone across the ice for Anderson. One of two former Calgary Flames on the Golden Knights. On the near course, picked up by Carolina. It will be gloved down by Jarvis. Set it up for Svechnikov. Svechnikov waits and looks for it across the ice. That's intercepted as we go all the way down for Gostisbehere, a product of Union College. Across the ice for Nikishin, what his first playoff point of this postseason in Game 5 against Montreal. Hall, double teamed by Carlson and Theodore. And Carlson successfully got a free. Bouncing puck loose in front for Hart. It'll be sticked away by Vegas. Carolina couldn't keep it in as Howden got it out. Delayed offside against the Canes. Hall gets back to get onside. Theodore gets it out. Miller can't play it. His teammate could. Nikolaj Ehlers is back out there on the ice. Logan Stankover pursuing the puck. Up the far side to be collected by Miller. The Wisconsin product had a little mini reunion with his Wisconsin teammate Cole Caulfield in the East Final. As Jackson Blake sends it the distance, Hart. Or rather, as William Carey, not Ehlers, who's on the ice carrying original misfits. And from the near side, McNabb had it poked away from him. Collected by Coughlin, away from him, off for Theodore, who's munching up minutes here. 8:50 left, Ehlers the only goal. Bouncing puck through the far side is sent down the distance. Behind Hart, it will be collected by Coughlin one more time. Held down by Carrier. From the far corner, held in by Nikishin, and bounced towards Carrier to Jankowski, another former Calgary Flame. Vegas will start up again. From the near side, could not be picked up by Cole Smith, acquired the deadline from Nashville. One of two former Predators alongside Colton Sissons. And this will be Codwood who sent it the distance. From the far corner, collected by Nikishin one more time. Gostisbehere. The Air Jordan line out there on the ice again. 8:15 left. Of course, Air Jordan, very symbolic of Michael Jordan. His impact in the NBA, and his impact in NASCAR. With his driver Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace. From the near side, Nikolaj Ehlers gets hounded up by the penalty box scores. Eichel springs it to himself, intercepted. He'll go back out. Here's Ehlers again. Can he go 2 for 2? Yes, sir!
Filthy backhand tuck past Carter Hart. Again, another mistake. He's left all alone after the Eichel turnover, and Ehlers dose for dose, and Carolina's in pandemonium.
A dream first period for the Carolina Hurricanes in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Nikolaj Ehlers has both goals. This is why you pay him the big bucks in free agency. 5-0 on Hart after the turnover. How about this, John and Ian? It's 2-0. And Ehlers has his second multi-goal game of this postseason. He was the overtime hero and Game against Montreal in the East Final. Held in by Miller across for Hall. Taylor Hall jumps off apart, and it goes onto the mesh. And these Hurricanes fans can exhale for a moment and exhale happily. 9 shots, 2 goals, 2-0 Canes.
As we get set to go to break, and you've done a fantastic job on the call, so I'm so glad you got a chance to start this. Figured you would on the home ice. I wanted to make sure of that. But Alec, I just want to say something and maybe get Ian's thoughts as well. You've covered a lot more Canes games than I have over the years. I started a lot with the Canes when I first started with Local Sports Guy, but right now it seems like we know about their offense and everything else that they can turn to when they have more depth and they can score. You see that with a couple from Ehlers, but it feels like this defense is in turbo mode right now. They are locked in.
So, gentlemen, and I believe, John, it was a discussion I had with you. I'm not sure if Alec was privy, but when Carolina was eliminated last season, we were having discussions about whether or not Brind'Amour was the right guy to lead this team. And I remember making this point. He needed, Sebastian is a star, but he needed that striker, that sniper, the guy who was going to shoot whenever he wanted, wherever he wanted. And I said, you give him that in a few years, and we'll just see where the cards fall. This man, and now it is clear, it was a royal flush, because Nikolaj Ehlers was that missing piece. And Brind'Amour, sir, I apologize. I had my doubts, but really the Carolina just needed one piece. And it's clear who that piece was.
I'm gonna let Alec jump in, but the depth and everything is so good. I remember having the conversation with you, and I didn't think you were crazy at the time. And again, now you add some of the other stuff in there with the scoring. And I got to mention this too. What a sauce pass that was for Jalen Chatfield. A little bit of a feather there for that tuck. That was sick.
That was a nice seeing feed from Jalen Chatfield, who got promoted to the first pairing once Brent Burns left for Colorado. And he's up this game ever since. Carolina is generating these turnovers with triangle defense. Of course, triangle offense has been a thing with Phil Jackson in the NBA. But speak of the triangle in which 3 defenders are around to pile up on the Vegas attackers to prevent them from coming through offside here. But it was that takeaway from Carolina that allowed Chatfield to spring a seeing-eye pass up ahead to Ehlers, who was untouched.
You talk about Tulsi, the GM, and all that stuff too in the mix. And Alec, you mentioned all the other players that they've added, some of the depth. Talked about it on both sides, and between Brett Howden for Vegas and Keandre Miller now for Carolina, and now they weren't wanted as blue shirts. That seems to be like a mistake.
Well, and Keandre Miller's thriving here in Carolina. Rangers fans love Miller and watching him play. He was huge for the Game 7 victory against the Penguins in 2022, as when the Vegas defenders is hounded down by one of the Carolina attackers, Ehlers with his 32nd career multi-goal game, 5th in the postseason, dating back to his Winnipeg years. From the far corner is Cole Smith. One of 2 players left in Smith here, as Dow could not handle that hot pass. Kept down the backhand by Shayne Theodore. Back for Smith. Backhand to the left point for McNabb. Theodore, one-timer, and they score! Deflected in! Shayne Theodore the blast, and it's back to a 1-goal game.
That's a huge goal. I don't need to undersell it at that point. It looked like Vegas. I wouldn't say he's up against it because they've been down 3-0 to the Colorado Avalanche. But really, when they couldn't find anything, after a face-off win and go a little bit extended time, they get some traffic in front of Freddie and make it a 1-goal game.
About Eric Robinson, I had to feel sick. That bounced off his knee and into the net. That's just
sure did.
For Robinson. As it was deflected. I don't know if it was either Coulter or Robinson, but it went off of Robinson's knee. Oof.
Not much you could do there, Al. That's a great call by you. Yes, it did. It bounces off there. No chance for Freddie Anderson off the redirect.
no chance. Rob Brind'Amour is taking a subtle look at the video board, but I don't think there's goaltender interference. No challenge, and of course, no goaltender interference. So to go from Theodore's stance, 5th goal of the playoffs, and a whistle here. That's Theodore's first goal in 5 games this postseason. It seems there's a penalty against Brett Howden here. It is confirmed the penalties against the former blue shirt Howden, who has a team-leading 10 goals, tied for the team lead of Pavel Dorofeev. So Carolina is going to the power play, hey boys.
That's what you got to have right after that. Again, you have some traffic right in front. He gets tied up what Jalen Chatfield does. Chatfield's been all over the place. Got 2 assists and he's drawn a penalty.
Chatfield so far has been one of the more valuable Hurricanes around this core. That they developed into a regular, everyday defender as they signed him from Vancouver, where he was originally a draft pick as a false start is called against Jordan Staal on the faceoff. So I have to do this again. The 5-man unit is Hall, Staal, Stankoven, Blake, Miller. The 4-man unit for Vegas Citizens, Dow, McNabb, and Lazon. So do this again. This time it is Taylor Hall on the faceoff. He loses it. And this will cycle around through the far side. It was collected by Miller. Backhanded around. And it is Jackson Blake for Hall. Looking to go back for Blake. On the reach to keep it is Miller. Good active stick. Stankoven back for Miller. Let's let go. And that's stopped by Hart. Blake from the near corner on the keep. Looking to get this on the backhand. Can't do so now. Now Stankoven. We made several checks. Hall going down to Lazon to block. Blake is back out the right point. Back for Hall. Bottom of the right circle. Cross-ice pass. Miller. Turn the net. And that's turned away by Hart. Miller will get it back and go back to his position at the point. Looks Blake's direction. Takes the shot. Blake a one-timer blocked in front. And off the near boards. Miller just keeps it in. Gloved down by Blake on the reach. Backhands it to the near corner for Staal. Jordan Staal. Will normally be on the bench. Having Nikolaj Ehlers out here at this moment. He's still up there. Miller. Hall. Walking around the point. Still serving for Lane. Wayne makes a shot. Now goes cross ice. Miller doesn't get it. 55 seconds left on this power play. With Howard in the box. Blake. Survey. With the left circle. Miller. A long blast blocked in front. And hobbling on his way to the bench is Colton Sissons. And both teams will change units. Sissons gets some pats on the back for that courageous shot block. It takes guts and effort. Aho is forced back. The puck will reach to Andrei Svechnikov and Aho. Forced further back by William Karlsson. Gostisbehere will move up the ice now. Going to the rush here is Aho. Down the right side. Aho falls down. He was not tripped though. Ehlers from the near corner. Heads back for Jarvis left point. 13 on the power play. Ehlers. Svechnikov right out in front. Doesn't get a shot away as he was tied up. Ehlers looking for a hat trick. 5 seconds left. Svechnikov back for Ehlers. Across the ice, Jarvis doesn't shoot it. Goes back for Gostisbehere. Power play is over. Howard is on the ice. And here's Howard on a breakaway. He'll wait back as Gostisbehere was right in front. On the tangle, the cross-ice pass was blocked. Puck is loose. It's covered up by Freddie Anderson. And Carolina survives a rush opportunity against with 4:12 left.
That was a good back check there for the Canes. They knew that Brett Howard in the time was about to dwindle. He's getting ready to come out of the sin bin. Gostisbehere hustles to be able to get over there. And honestly, outside, I know the power play didn't score, as Hannafin had a chance before we go to break, but I thought Carolina's puck possession and their movement and positioning was pretty darn good, Mr. Nava.
It is. The puck positioning and body positioning for those goals. And on the defensive side, they did an excellent job recovering and getting back on defense, seeing that Howden was out on the ice after the penalty. To not just to prevent any crowd silencers. Of course, Carolina scored a breakaway. They're not allowing a breakaway goal.
Right. 25 seconds for those that are just joining us. We got 4:12 left in the first frame. Nick Ehlers with his 5th of the playoffs from Jacob Slavin and Jalen Chatfield. Slavin was another one of those I had my eye on as far as the plus-minus was even as he sits. Today I'm looking at it. In the mix of the plus-minus, he's a +2. So that is a good start for them. And then you got Ehlers at 12:08 from Chatfield. And then Shea Theodore as it bounced off of the knee of Robinson, assisted by McNabb and Cole Smith at 13:28. Freddie Anderson has stopped 3 of 4. Carter Hart 7 of 9. We've seen this before for Carter Hart. Might have a slow start to the series, but then kind of percolate as we move across. But again, Vegas generally kind of bides their time before they get going into the game. That's why that goal from Shea Theodore loomed pretty large.
It is. Of course, we know about everything that's on the line here. Carolina having a dream start in the first period, up 2-0. Of course, as noted again between Ian and everyone else, everyone here, a 2-goal lead, the most dangerous league in hockey. But Carolina, of course, exceptional defense. Vegas knows how to play from behind. One more underrated note is that Freddie Anderson's playing with a heavy heart because his agent and former player, 4-time Stanley Cup champion Claude Lemieux, passed away at age 60. And Freddie had the best outing of his life in the postseason in Game 5 against Montreal. We're back here with 4:08 left in the first. As Chaco has 2 assists here tonight, both of them to Ehlers, a secondary and a primary. Hart plays it to the far side, bounces up, and this will go behind Hart, racing to his haul. It's poked away from him. Slavin on the hold, beating out Howden. Digging this up is Barton. Mitch Marner back the other way. 4-on-2 for Vegas. Marner to the left side. Feet in front was knocked away by Chatfield. On the far corner is Howden. Shot is blocked in front again. And springing up for another breakaway. This time it's a save by Carter Hart on Logan Stankoven. It was a chance to go 3-1, and Stankoven gets denied by Hart. That's 10 shots on goal for Carolina as Stankoven heads to the bench. Puck is knocked away, but it lands under the stick of Mark Stone. Stone across the ice in front, and that's knocked away. Keeping his Stone onto the near corner, shoved away. Down to the near side, this is Seth Jarvis who will dump it down, or rather Sean Walker, excuse me. Up the far force, this gets knocked out, but picked back up by Stone for a brief moment. Now back the other way comes Vegas. Stone getting tangled up. First line for Carolina's weaker minutes against Vegas' third line. Stone shoved once by Jarvis. Also there at the near corner was Miller. Now back it goes for Walker, who's been fantastic at his own end. Bouncing pumps reaches Jarvis. Back it around to the near corner. Here's Svechnikov with McNabb on his face. For the near side, Stone gets this down. Good stick it away to deny that pass from Jacob Slavin. He and Chatfield are back on the ice again with 2:20 left in the fray. Here's Chatfield, who moving up the middle for Svechnikov. Jordan Stahl races to it. Hart plays it for Coglin. Stahl falls down. Ellie Dorfean won't get this out. Waiting is Jordan Martinook. And to the near corner comes Coglin. Up the near force, this is Vegas playing with it. Eichel, denied entry. Through the far side, this will be played in. By Vegas, no, it goes out of play to the Carolina bench. Just 3 shots on goal for the Golden Knights.
They got 3 shots on goal. Guess how many breakaways they've allowed this period? 3. They're fortunate to only be down 2-1.
Very fortunate. And yes, it's the 2-on-1 from Ehlers, the breakaway from Ehlers, and the breakaway with Stankoven. All in the same period. They've allowed as many breakaways as they have shots on goal in this period. The down line's out there. 4th line against 4th line is Jankowski winning it. Up the far side is Robinson with no ahead of it. Denied on his first clear attempt. Dowd helps him out. Up the far side, not far enough for an icing as Gostisbehere falls down, trying to swat the puck away from Keegan Colasar. Colasar continues to pin Gostisbehere towards the boards. Going back for Rasmus Anderson. Now back for Colasar, where Robinson pokes away from him. Chop down the near side. Otis being icing, though it's going to bounce too hard. So the icing gets waved off. Down. Batted down by Carrier. He'll win some more as Robinson was late. Now Carrier takes this in himself. He has no help. Hart turns that away. Up to center. Was picked up by Keandre Miller. Through the middle with Stankoven. Logan Stankoven with 63 seconds left. And stopped by Hart and is cleared away to the near side. Dylan Coghlan pinned and double teamed by Stankoven and Blake. Several whacks at it. The fans standing on their feet, waving their towels. Puck comes out behind the net where Coghlan playing this for Hooker Carlson. William Carlson does get it out with 40. Blake waits. He'll go across the ice for Miller. Up the near side for Stankoven, gets tied up. Now back the other way. A breakup on the pass by Jackson Blake will spring Carolina back the other way. Up the far side, Stankoven. Shot by Howden, but it will roll onto Hart. Will play it out. 20 seconds left in the fray. 2-1 Carolina. Shots are 12-3. Up ahead, Freddie Anderson places it in the far corner away from Howden. Howden shoves out Chatfield. Slavin helps out Chatfield. To the near side here is Svechnikov. One last rush here. 3-on-2. Offside is Wade Thomas. Jarvis going to get this to the net. Bouncing puck for the far corner. Martyr plays this one out through center, and that'll do it for the first period. It's 2-1 Canes. Nikolaj Ehlers has both goals, and the only goal for Vegas belongs to Shayne Theodore. The Canes are 7-0, while leading after one period, the most wins in the NHL. Now keep an eye out on Vegas as they look to build their confidence in the second and third.
Yeah, I'm going to say the obvious here, and then I'll leave it to you boys to discuss whatever you want to throughout the intermission. But again, as we said, a 2-1 score line, you got those 3 breakaways. You have as many as Vegas has shots. I think they're fortunate to only be down 2-1. You could say that Carolina's probably played about as good as they could expect it to. You got the nerves and everything jump-started here in Game 1. And then you could also say this, too, for Vegas. They've been here before. They've been down 3-0 in the first period of the Colorado Avalanche to still sweep them, as you mentioned, Alec, in the ending of it, trying to get their feet settled. Honestly, you think if you're Vegas, you probably don't feel so bad right now.
Probably not. Of course, we know how good Vegas' scoring touch is. And yes, they average 4 goals per game than Carolina does. And that is a very slim margin. Though it's a slim margin, the catch here is they're averaging less shots on goal than the Canes are. So they're scoring at a better efficiency this postseason than Carolina. Yet, for now, it's Nikolaj Ehlers 2, Shayne Theodore 1.
Yeah, it is. And as you said, for Carolina, they have not been outshot yet in this postseason. Again, they were taking it to everything. And again, you're just finding a couple of guys as they're getting interviewed with Nikolaj Ehlers across the PK Subban. But that's a beautiful stick check around Theodore there for Ehlers to then snipe it in the bottom right corner. And then just beating Vegas with some of those long outstretched passes. You talk about that triangle and how difficult it is to deal with. Certainly John Tortorella and company we'll probably be making adjustments here, no doubt, as we go along the further games in this series. But they were having some issues with that Carolina forecheck.
Yes, they are. And I gotta say, Carolina right now is playing how they need to play.
Yeah.
But again, it's funny because out of all the Vegas Golden Knights that have played, Shayne Theodore from the outset was always a player that caught my eye. Because yes, he is a defenseman, but good lord, that one timer is deadly. He is just he's someone you would have looked. Maybe you wouldn't have looked at immediately, but you look at his name in the expansion draft and you realize, oh, yeah, the Golden Knights just got themselves a steal. And he's shown that since he's been on the ice. So, yeah, a bit of a player spotlight right there. I do want to ask you fellas, as we get further on into the series, does anyone know about the availability of one Cooper Hopkins?
He is going to be here, I think, for a couple of games. I talked to him a little bit in Game 4. I threw a question out to him in that Game 4. I said, is Colorado's season done for? He did join me in the third period. He goes, I feel bad. I had to join in. I think he's going to get a couple of games with us.
All right. So we'll keep an eye out there. And speaking of Colorado, they do have less than $3 million in cap space, so they have to have some moves to do. And yes, there is a certain dilemma that's coming up, one surrounding two-time Norris Trophy winner Cale Makar, who's entering the final year of his contract next season. So early goings on price tags could be right around, could it be 13, 14 plus million? Who knows?
I'm only saying this for the fun of it, but Calgary is going to be getting that new building. Why not have the hometown kid go back to Calgary, Alberta, and join the Flames so Cooper can do a backflip?
If it's a home arena, then, well, I know Calgary's going through rebos and such, and I know they didn't get the lottery luck that they had, but maybe in the land of DuPont draft could be.
That's possible. Again, you can talk about on the other ends, as you mentioned. We got some news, didn't we, the other day for Vancouver? It looks like Manny Malhotra is going to be the new head coach.
Not surprised, because as Vancouver was very likely going to go in-house with their next head coaching hire. After firing Adam Foote, that there were a lot of coaching candidates out there, but let's be honest. Even if Vegas denied Vancouver permission to speak to Bruce Cassidy, Cassidy wouldn't have made sense in Vancouver.
I agree.
It would make more sense for a team that's in a contention mode, in a contention window right now. So the best possible case to go here, in-house, promote Manny Malhotra from Abbotsford, and he should navigate through. And he should navigate through here on some. I don't know what to say, but right now the situation in Vancouver is getting pretty treacherous. There are a lot of questions about if Elias Pettersson trade is to be moved, but is anyone going to take on that contract? Good Lord, that's awful.
Yeah, go ahead, Alec.
But with the third pick, there are a lot of routes to go through. Yes, this is the Gavin McKenna draft, and I think Gavin McKenna will go to Toronto. I don't see San Jose taking a forward again. They have to go defense this time. So Vancouver, I think they're going to take Ivar Stenberg.
I was going to say, because now you got it run by the Sedins, who have also been helping out alongside the new GM. There's a lot left to do, obviously, in Vancouver, and I know some people will say you're just selling fan service. Well, they haven't had a lot to sell for a long time. And I do think, again, there's still a few years to be kicking stuff down the road, but I like the direction that they're finally taking. And you know what? I agree with you. Even if it is Manny Malhotra's son, Caleb Malhotra, if Stenberg's there, I think you got to go ahead and do it.
Yeah. I feel you have to pick Stenberg no matter what at third overall if he's available. As I said, with the Sharks, they already have enough forwards under young core as of right now. Celebrini, Will Smith, Colin Graff, Victor William Eklund. Now Michael Misa joins the fold. So there has to be a defenseman here in the mold, right? Sam Dickinson can't do everything on this young defense core alone. So who I take here if I'm San Jose, give me Chase Reed.
What can you tell me, guys? Where does Chicago pick this year?
All right, let's look that up right now because I don't have that open up right now. So 2026 NHL entry draft. So this will be coming up after the finals have concluded, and it is in Buffalo and June 26th where the first round is going to be held. Chicago will be picking fourth.
I hope. I mean, it'd be great for Blackhawks fans, but seriously, I hope they don't end up with like Stenberg or something.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! I mean, they just got Anton Frondell into the mix, but there has to be a moment in which Chicago has to know what development is.
Right.
If you watch the Blackhawks play this season, they blew 28 leads this season. They need to be better than that.
Because I talk with this alongside Ian and Alec. I'm glad that we've been able to join and be able to finish this off in the Cup Finals and get some games and some run together. But I picked, and I know we haven't done the free agency frenzy or any of that yet, but I'm picking the San Jose Sharks to make the playoffs next year. I do think that they were close. Again, they had more regulation wins than Vegas. A lot of other teams did as well. They had a rough start, but the OT losses end up giving you those extra points. But when I talk about picking San Jose, and you mentioned about the blown leads for Chicago, Chicago is another one of those teams maybe not necessarily feeling a ton of pressure from the Stanley Cups from before, but as you said, you got to start developing some of that young talent around Bedard and get things going.
Yeah, and give him more talent to work with. He can't just be doomed to having their line mates being Ryan Green and Andrei Burakovsky, for that matter.
Right.
You have to give him quality line mates. It can't just be an entire David Pastrnak situation all over again.
No, there's a lot left to do there, and I do like Spencer Knight in goal, but he's going to need some help, and that team's pretty young. But I like San Jose. I liked what Vancouver did. There's still a lot left to do for them. I think for Vancouver, they have about 23 million in cap space, so it is not the end of the world. I did see the other day the possibility that Brandon Gallagher his time might be done in Montreal. So if Vancouver decides to get him, you can't have it be like an Evander Kane situation. You got to get picks coming back at least.
At least. It can't be just a straight cap dump with a pick attached to it. And yes, we spoke of Montreal. There is a lot of possibilities where they can go through. And yes, I made an assessment on the Canadiens that, yes, they made it deep. And that's progress for their run in their contention window. However, they need a better second-line center. Jake Evans is a stopgap. He's not the permanent solution. You have to look at the trade market because the center market in free agency is rather weak. So the trade is the best way to do it. And you have to ask certain teams, what's your asking price for insert the name of second-line center here?
I'm trying to think about that, Alec, in the back of my mind because I don't disagree with any of your points. I also think Montreal, and I know we'll agree with this a little bit, they might just be a little bit too damn young right now in order to get that experience to then get to the next step. Kind of like, I know Carolina wasn't really young, but you have to go through the doldrums and build through your experience to figure out what it takes to win. But I agree with your assessment. I just think Montreal needs a little more cooking in that oven.
Yeah, they do. They need to cook some more of this young core before we get a little more clarity here. Don't need to necessarily go big game hunting if you're Montreal. Because there's no way that they're going after someone like a Robert Thomas or Jordan Kyrou. That wouldn't make sense.
No, I don't see it. And again, over the last few years, you remember at the beginning when Slafkovsky was drafted, and everybody was like, oh, he's not a number one pick. He's not worth it. Yeah, you can tell that over his last couple of Olympics and what he's done now, how good Slafkovsky is with Caulfield and Suzuki. And I like that trade that they made last year, well, in the offseason when they acquired Noah Dobson to go with Lane Hudson. But let me ask you this. I know it was a 7-game series, and you got victories over the Lightning and the Sabres. But in totality, what did you think of Jakub Dobeš?
He's a revelation. We don't know what next season is going to hold for him, but if he plays next season the way he did this postseason, Montreal's found themselves their goaltender. Now, they can go 1A, 1B between Dobeš and Fowler, and you wouldn't go wrong there. But for now, we'll assume that Dobeš is the starting goalie for next season. His breakout performance was inspiring, and he's eligible for a contract extension on July 1st.
Yeah, that might be a nice way to go to try to get him paid early. I agree with you on Fowler, too. The one thing in the back of my mind is I wonder how much Sam Montembeault has fallen off a cliff because he was the guy that had the most experience, and then Dobeš just goes and steals the net.
Basically, for what we're seeing is that not only Gallagher could be finding himself out of Montreal, but also Montembeault. That'll free up a lot of cap space for Montreal to maneuver for possible trades and signings. Just don't do anything too rash.
No, I don't think you need to. Like you said, it's a team that doesn't need a ton of adjustments. And again, they should be in good standing as far as what they want to do in the future. The cap goes up for everybody. And I know we'll talk about more teams going forward. I know Ian also mentioned Colorado. We had that discussion as well. I'll say this. I thought Utah in the first round might have had upset alert against Vegas, but I like that team too. there's a few other teams alongside San Jose and Utah I think could be consistent playoff performers. I know the LA Kings had their moment where they were able to get 20 overtime losses, but I don't see it. I think the Kings are on their way out as the teams like the Sharks and the Mammoth are going to pound the door and keep their way in.
Yep. If the sky's the limit for the Mammoth. You remember, they are hosting the Winter Classic next year against the Avalanche. Should be a good mountainside showdown as Utah builds their team up and continues with this core. It'll be year 3 in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And to finally see them thriving with Ryan Smith as their owner is a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. And I think I saw today, too, it was announced that the All-Star game is going to be coming back this time around again. It's going to be an on and off again thing, but I think it's going to be on Long Island.
It will be. It's more of an international format this year's All-Star game. So it's not Atlantic, Central, Metro, and Pacific. It's rather nations being represented.
I'll have to look that up as we get some time. Again, we got about 3:50 left to go here before the start of the second. So I'll take the second. I'll probably take the first half of the third there, so then Alba can close. But yeah, you're looking at it right now. February 5th and 6th, you got the international format, and it shows round robin schedule. We got USA Canada game 1. You're gonna get my blood pumped up again.
Now can we get this for World Cup of Hockey's please?
Yeah, this is going to be pretty sick, I think. Again, you got Sweden, Finland, game 2. And then it looks like game 3, it just says NHL stars versus the United States, maybe. So, yeah, I'll have to do some more reading on this as it gets closer. And then I think also next year, Alec, we're going back to 84 games. We haven't had that since the mid-90s.
Well, mathematically, if you want to put it like that, to account for the 32 teams, just to add one extra game for divisional matchups. So, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, this is going to be sweet. They got a skills competition that's going to have 10 young stars, 25 or younger, competing in as many as 6 events. Yeah, there's some cool stuff to think about for the announcement in the All-Star game. I'm definitely looking forward to that. So, revamped format and nations playing each other, that sounds pretty darn cool. And then you're going to have, I think, World Cup of soccer and all that stuff not too long after the Stanley Cup Finals are done.
Yeah, the first game is on the 11th, which is the same day as Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. That's Mexico and South Africa at Ciudad de Mexico.
Are you going to be pulling a Kevin Harlan? I'm calling both games.
Oh boy, I hope not, because I want to be covering the Stanley Cup Final. But if there's a situation where this ends in a 4-game sweep, then I may just cover that as a standalone. If not, then it's Game 5 of the final. And in any case, if we do get a Game 5, then that means I'll be covering USA's first game of the FIFA World Cup.
Okay, because whatever the situation is, I'll be here with you to at least take most of the bullpen stuff. But if there's a situation where Carolina gets a chance to clinch, obviously you're getting that final call. I just want to make sure that you have that there. But I'll be able to be here in relief. Again, as we said, we're going to cover as long as this goes together here, Alec and I. So we're going to be here on the call. Hopefully Cooper can join us for a couple of those. If not, Alec and I are going to take you all the way through this. It's just a pleasure to be back in the broadcast booth with you.
Oh, man, it does feel so good. And second period is almost here, but we're looking back at the first period highlights, and yes, Carolina's defense has smothered Vegas's attack for the most part. The Golden Knights couldn't get anything going here offensively, not even on a 4-on-2 when it looked like they had Carolina beat. But the Carolina defense got back on time.
So let me say this. Again, we marked the couple of Ehlers goals, and Chatfield's got some points. So the stats in particular, shots were 12-4 Carolina, hits 18-12 Vegas, faceoffs tied at 10 apiece, just the one power play opportunity, and that belonged to Carolina. They went 0 for 1. I'm going to go ahead and take this play-by-play for the second. Again, Alec is only a couple seconds ahead of me, so we should be pretty good time as far as calling things out together. As this goes back to the jerseys in black and the mix of the red striping. Jack Eichel now gets the steal. Sharp angle chance will hit the glass. Shot attempts are 24-10. And a chance and a score! An immediate one! That's Barbashev! And we're tied!
Just like that, and Vegas found a way to knock this at one from the left circle. Just like that, and Vegas showed who needs a third period to come back and get this one knotted up. Barbashev dead center, and aims for the top corner. We're leveled up.
Man, oh man, again, we talked about as good as Carolina has played in that first intermission, you feel like they should be up by more. Barbashev just gets his space inside the left dot to be able to lift, get past Freddie Anderson. And again, it's a 2-2 game, and we'll see what continues across the board as this one's chipped in toward Freddie. Here is the mix of the jerseys in white with the black pants. They'll be going right to left. Carolina the other way around. As this is dropped now, Howden with a ripper. That one misses the top right corner again. He's got double-digit goals. A lot of depth here for Vegas. This is a second period dream for them. This goes back to Hannafin now. Crisscross, middle of the slot. Finally picked off by the Canes. As they'll send this one in now with Andre Miller. Little inside-out positioning off the drop for Stankoven. He's dove near the right side of the red line. Pushed ahead now by the former blue shirt in Howden. Off the tie-up, Mitch Marner. He says that he loves playing with Brett Howden on that line. He got a ton of chemistry. And as Alec mentioned, a Swiss Army knife there for Marner, who can do a little bit of everything. As this falls back to Carter Hart, will be forced to hold at 18:32.
You mentioned the chemistry between Howden and Marner. They gel together on this old defensive-minded second line. Marner brings the scoring touch, of course. But it's the top line that did the damage for Vegas to open up this period. So if this is an appetizer for what we're going to get of this series, we're in for a good one.
Yes, we are. We think this is going to be a tight series. Again, I mentioned alongside Alec, I do think we're going to get a couple OT ones in this. We could either go 6, as Alec and I predicted. If one of these teams get a foothold, we could see it end in 5. We both said maybe not 7. Ian did. So we'll see where it goes. As this is back in amongst the end boards now to Carolina. They'll backhand to get it out. And McNabb will work as this pass will bounce off the glass. Goes too far for the captaincy and Stone. Svechnikov will play some defense, get it to his back line, and this will be chipped in across the red. Carter Hart, no problem. Stop it in amongst the goal crease. The Braden McNabb. McNabb goes for the long breakout pass, but that is intercepted by the Canes. Robinson, that goes too far for him. Able to stay onside was Tomas Hertl. I haven't called his name. 4 goals in the playoffs for Aho, 2 on the empty net. Somebody that they need to get going. Send back around now for Cole Smith. And this will be chipped in. Here is Gostisbehere. Will slow up. Nice move to escape the danger. Throw an outstretched pass, and this will bounce into the Vegas zone. Back in behind the inboards now will be left. Here for Nick Dowd, the former Capital. He gets it pretty hard against the right side boards by Nikishin, and off the top with the captaincy and Jordan Stoll. It's loose in the middle of the circles, as it'll be intercepted trying to find Kolsar on that backhand, but he's offside. So might as well take a change for John Tortorella's squad. 16:50 thereabouts in the second. John, here with you alongside Alec Nava. I'll be taking the second. We're going to leave the close here for Alec, who gave us a great call in the first. It's one flip. Gets blocked off the goal stick of Freddie Anderson and then sent into the corner. And on the back skate is Eichel. He's trying to close off an angle as it works up the middle of the gut. Here's Jordan Martinook. That shot canceled off by the right pad of Carter Hart. Martinook loops it in behind the corner now. This pass goes off the backside of a skate. Barbashev, who just scored, now gets us ahead for Eichel. He's got it on one-on-one. Power move across his backhand. Good stick chop on the backhand for Andre Miller. Here's a chance, Eichel! He can't lift it, and it's still alive now for Carolina. It would have been 3-2 Vegas. Came that close. Now goes the other way. And off the drop from Jackson Blake across the right side boards is Taylor Hall. Gets tied up. This will be sent back down off of a 1,000-pound weight, but it gets out of the zone. Blake will send it in. Carter Hart will stop it. And off the goal stick here is Jack Eichel. What's he want to do? We'll go for a soft change in the corner here. Mitch Marner now. We'll send him on the inboards. Marner steals. On his backhand, he throws it down deep. If Vegas can hustle, they can get some numbers, but Chatfield alertly throws it out of play.
Smart play by Chatfield to deny that deep 2-on-1 by Vegas, as Vegas are having Carolina in shots on goal. Jack Eichel came dangerously close to the go-ahead goal, all alone in the slot. But he just sends this wide as he just ran out of room to sneak this by Freddie Anderson, or rather, he just took one too many mishandles. I thought that there should have been a penalty against Sean for him holding onto Ivan Barbashev's helmet and almost removing it.
Yeah, he had a pretty good hold there and a little bit of a tug Walker did against Barbashev. Maybe if they were in Vegas, they would have gotten that call. That's a clear miss. You can say that should be 1-1 on both sides, as this will go to the benches.
Yeah, so far, it would have been 1-1 between Vegas and Carolina in penalties. So, if we're being frank, if Vegas were to get a power play, Carolina would be just as good at killing off that penalty.
Yeah, they are. Both of these squads are exceptional at that point. As you said, when you get into the Cup Finals, you get a little bit less and less of those. Barbashev a goal and 5 hits. So it's been eventful for him. Centering pass and a score! It's Wild Bill!
Well, who cares about missed penalties at this point, John? William Karlsson at the net front, down low in the slot, on the centering feed, and cup-winning expertise does help. Vegas gets the go-ahead goal. And yes, I mentioned this in the first period, the most dangerous lead, a 2-0 lead. Karlsson made sure of that. And yes, it is Mitch Marner to set up Wild Bill again. His hot run continues.
Where would they be? Again, you could talk about the depth across, but Mitch Marner is doing everything. Again, he's on a top line where everybody can produce. He already was producing in Toronto, and you let him be the assist man for Will Karlsson, who's essentially just coming back a few games in. Feels like he hasn't missed a step, and now Vegas has the lead. This is one of the things I talk about with Alec. We'll have to talk that more in depth once we get a commercial break, but the shot board is 14-8, and Freddie Anderson, as this puck is iced against Vegas, has given up 3 goals. He's only stopped 5 of 8. A couple of those were not his fault, but that was one of the things I said to Alec in the open. If there's a chance where they can kind of break that seal and score some goals against Carolina, how's it going to work? Carolina is now finally going through a little bit of that pressure cooker.
And yes, this is the adversity. The Carolina hasn't really faced that adversity so far this postseason. This is that first time we can safely say that they're facing adversity.
Shots are 4-2. Vegas has scored twice, and oh man, that shot took the stick out of the hand of Carter Hart. If Carolina could have kept it in the zone, but that was alertly there for Noah Hannafin, and now we'll get a whistle, but that could have been dangerous for Vegas, but the puck is offsides.
That puck took out Carter Hart's stick with Eric Robinson on the whip-around shot. Well, that puck really had eyes, of course. But as we mentioned about Vegas, and there's goals per game and shooting in comparison to Carolina's. Yes, Vegas is averaging 4 goals per game, and the big thing that we can take away from averaging 4 goals per game on less shots per game is the better scoring efficiency that Vegas has this postseason.
That top-end talent, for as good as Carolina is, and Nick Ehlers, no slouch, with a couple of breakaway goals. That was the one thing that the Golden Knights would be put into their favor for everything that the Hurricanes have done well. I want to see the Hurricanes punch back, though. There's tons of time. Shot board 14-8, but Vegas now has taken the lead as it's Wild Bill and Barbashev with the goals in this period. Eichel, it's loose! As this goes across the left side, looking for Barbashev. Back to Eichel now, turnaround shot. Sent back in for Dorofeyev, trying to pick a piece of it now. This looks like all Vegas on this shift. This goes back to the point now for McNabb, throwing in deep to Jalen Chatfield. He loses an edge. Turn around near the left side. Dot, can Vegas hold it in? Good outreach. But this finally gets out of the zone. Dorofeyev have to go back. 13:45 left to go in the second. Again, if this ends up happening for me all the way across in the board, I just maybe don't call the second period so this doesn't happen against Carolina for Alec's sake, because I feel bad. And again, when it gets to the Red Wings at this point, I'd be biting my fingernails if it ever got there. I can only hope for that. This is sending behind the inboards now for Nick Dowd. We'll throw a back pass. This goes up the side of the net now. Shot board is just 5-2, and Vegas has 2 goals here in this frame. Sent back in behind the inboards now. Picked up on a power move on the backhand for Stankelman. Trying to keep it alive, but Vegas is there. 3-on-2 developing off the chip and chase as Smith will try to race for it now. Near the left side dot. This will be cleared out of the zone and blown dead against Carolina.
Boy, did Carolina survive multiple scares at their own defensive zone. Jack Eichel was at the center of it all. He and Pavel Dorofeyev close as they got looks from the left side dot. That there were multiple times in which Vegas could have expanded this to 4-2 on their long offensive shift. And that looked like a power play.
Carlson off the drop. Here's Rasmus Anderson and send that in deep. We talked about Hannafin and Anderson. When are they going to score goals? They've been doing well, though. Anderson off the drive as this one's blocked near the left side post. That was wide open again in the middle of the slot. And Carolina starting to become a little bit unglued in this period. Rasmus Anderson, it's a delayed penalty against the Canes. And off the drop, set up here from Hannafin to Eichel. They'll crisscross near the right side. Extra attacker out on the ice. Hannafin from Anderson, high slot. Left dot, Eichel. They'll be able to keep their top line out. Hannafin, bomb. This one, sacrificial block. Still stays at the left dot for Jack. Crisscross. Left side point. Marner throws it in dangerously deep. And finally touched by Carolina at 12-14. They'll be at the disadvantage.
How much time on ice has Vegas been in the Carolina defensive zone? Oh my goodness. Now they're really starting to crank up the pressure here in this second period and show that they have come here to play. I think this penalty is going to be against Mark Jankowski for tripping William Karlsson.
It has been an Uno reverse here, Alec, and we'll see. Again, Carolina's penalty kill, they have no problems there in the upper reaches of the 90%. You might have a period, as we saw in the first one, it was all Carolina that would be all Vegas. But again, if they can keep it within 1, just like Vegas did, if Carolina keeps it within 1, they might be okay by the time they get into the third. But they're going to need to start to reverse course pretty quickly.
So about those more short-handed goals than power plays,
right?
Could we see that?
Yeah. Again, we talk about that a little bit in this series. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I said that into the Stanley Cup Final preview with you, and I do buy that. I do think we can see Carolina get a shorthanded goal here.
I really like that possibility. If you could get a setup from, say, Aho and Jarvis out there on the ice at the same time, or if you could get Stoll setting up Jordan Martinook or Mark Jankowski up ahead, that would be the perfect time for Carolina to strike. If this is the time for Aho and Jarvis to show up, it is now.
Yeah, again, we talked about that throughout the series, and it wasn't just a poke at anything, because you take all the depth scoring you can get, but as Alec and I mentioned, from sport to sport, doesn't matter what it is, you need your stars to play like stars, and I do think Sebastian Aho has shown himself to be one since he's been in the NHL. We need the big boys on that line 1 to step up.
Yeah, he did. As we mentioned about the siren sounders, these two teams have sirens that can be cranked up. Eric Stahl nailed it to all extents. And the other siren sounder for tonight is Con Knippel of the Charlotte Hornets.
That's pretty good. He had a hell of a rookie season. He could really shoot the pill, can't he?
Oh, yeah, he can.
So Brett Howden going to get these secondary assists. Just typing in these goals here as we get to the first power play of the game for Vegas. Carolina went 0 for 1. We'll see what the puck possession gives us. It's left up. Eichel looking at the bumper for Stone. Cross pass hurdle. He is all tied up with nowhere to go. They forced that in the middle of the slot, and that was an easy clear for Rod Brind'Amour's squad. Power play for Vegas is pretty good. They're about 24%, but it's a high 90s here for the Carolina Hurricanes in the kill at 92.5%, 49 of 53. Eichel off the lead from Stone near the right side red line. So back in the corner now for Dorofeev. He's one of the Golden Knights that also in double digits. Dorofeev, Marner, high slot. Back to Tomas Hertl. They'll leave it for Eichel near the left dot. That's where he usually is, the righty. Stone. Another cross-ice feed. They're forcing that a lot as it goes to the right dot. Back to Eichel. Eichel surveys with his head up. Still looks for the middle of the slot for Hertl. And Freddie Anderson, that was an easy save for him, an important one. He closed the 5-hole.
That allows for a line change for the penalty killing unit. Jordan Staal, it's very important that he is out there on this penalty kill. He's one of the best defensive forwards on Carolina, and that's why he is the captain of this team. That he knows where the passing lanes and the shooting lanes are. Keeps the penalty kill active, rotating around. It's a good thing that it's not just Brind'Amour coaching this team, but Tim Gleason, Carolina's former defenseman, is that the assistant coach who heads the defense.
Guys that know what they're doing, they've been through the wars, they understand how the game is played. You're absolutely right. When we talk about the propensity of shorthanded goals for Carolina, we mentioned in the preview there for Dorofeev and Hertl, especially for Hertl, he's about minus 15 into the regular season, almost a minus double digits in the postseason. Eichel, he still got it. Cross-ice feed. Oh, and a robbery by Anderson on Hertl. As this goes down for Eichel, and this one goes off the outside of the post. Picked up now for Dorofeev. Back in behind the net for Hertl. Vegas looking dangerous on this power play. High slot Marner. This is turnaround. Leave across for the one-timer. And that one wide and out. Marner plays the extra defenseman in this role. We'll send it back now for Tomas. Put this one up the ice, the former San Jose Shark. He tried to split a 1-on-3. He will get it. The left side boards gets hit very hard. Out loose in front for Eichel. And he fans on it. He probably could have scored 3 times already. Stone. Here's a chance. Freddie says no. Picked up now for Carolina. Finally can take a breath as we're halfway through regulation. Boy, oh boy, it's been all Vegas in this second period when it was all Carolina in the first. Carlson off the drop now for Noah Hanifin, the former Calgary Flame. This gets sent in deep. Hanifin trying to get there quickly. Stankoven provides support, forced the steal. Hole was open backdoor, but the pass didn't get there. It goes to the other 71 Wild Bill. Carolina can clear it in. Carter Hart stops it with the blade. You can say for Carter, he got through a rough first period. Now it's usually when he settles in. That's the danger on the other end for Carolina. This will be a pull ball pass. Picked up now by Hanifin. He'll wait for Rasmus Anderson. Anderson will spin nicely, buy himself some space in his own end, and look to go from right to left. Hanifin, his pass is picked off by Jordan Martinook, and we'll see where the camera cuts to now. Long flip from the Carolina zone. Here's a sweep at it, but Tyler Hall will get to it. The shot will rattle the inboards and miss the short side. Jalen Chetfield pins against the glass. Hanifin and Anderson have been out there for a long time right now. That's the one thing to look at. Wow, Bill, what a pass. It's Barbashev. And off the tie-up now, trying to get around Martinook. Barbashev still trying to get some positioning there. Slavin in the corner as well. You got Chatfield. Somebody lost his stick. Svechnikov has the camera shot in front of him, trying to get that steal on Dowd. This is still on the left side red line, left for Sissons, and then finally out of the zone. It's just chipped in between the legs of Vegas. Then we'll get it across the Carolina logo. Zone time was about 3 minutes and 50 seconds ahead for Carolina. After one, it's now 6:44 to 6:40 Vegas. That tells you how much it's changed. This is a pass in amongst the end-to-end, as this will bounce off that stick that is near the left side dot. Sean Walker now trying to go ahead and pry to get this puck loose as it's sent behind the end boards. Carolina's got it. They'll take a long flip at least. That can switch from left to right dot. Get this one down to the left side blue line off the drop against the end boards. Vegas cuts off the angle, but this is a dive at the net. Carolina trying to work with this, and behind the net it was Will Carrier. He almost got a fireman's carry, a little WWE move. Took him off the puck. As this one sent back down. It's Keandre Miller. 7:25 left to go in the second. John, they're with you alongside Alec Nava. This is game one of the Stanley Cup Finals from the Lenovo Center. It is intercepted high slot. Carolina scores! It's Staal! We're tied!
allowing 3 unanswered goals in this game, dating back to the first period, and it's tied up at 3 again. Jordan Stoll off the keep from Andrei Miller right after Carolina's crowd got this team fired up ahead. On the keep, it bounces up on Bornham. It's Miller off for Stahl, top shelf, and Miller has his 9th assist before he gets a goal. And has no shade to Miller, but what a feed by him to find Jordan Stahl, just one of the biggest defenders, went down to block.
Didn't we say this in the first period for Shea Theodore having to get a big goal to make sure Carolina doesn't go up by 3? And now you get a big goal here for Stahl to answer that 3-goal run for Vegas as we sit tied at 3. Third goal of the playoffs, third career Stanley Cup final goal for Stahl. Shot board 15-12. Vegas was trying to work their way back into it. Subsequently, we did. And now we get back to even. Ehlers lost an edge. Back in behind the offensive zone. Jordan Martinook now. Ehlers tried to wrap it around, but he lost the handle. As Chatfield sends it in deep. Picked up now behind the inboards here. This is intercepted. Barbashev goes for the one flip. This is still dangerous. That third line back out there. Jordan Stahl. Excellent work. He gets around a hold. Gets this out of the zone. This is picked off by Chatfield. He's had a wonderful game. Cross-ice speed was too hard. Jack Eichel, he gets sent in the corner now. I think Sebastian back out there. It's Jalen Chatfield will leave us across from Jarvis. And then sent back around now. Chatfield trying to get this across the blue line. I'll give it up to Vegas. Here's Braden McNabb. The left side red line. This will be sent in and then on a plate at 6:17. But it's a 3-3 game now.
This is the loudest I've heard the Carolina faithful here in the season. A goal like that for Jordan Stahl is going to get any crowd fired up, and he made sure of that. 17 years ago was his last Stanley Cup final appearance. He won that as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's taking that and experience onto Carolina alongside William Carrier's from 3 years ago with the Vegas Golden Knights, and is proving to be very valuable.
That is just a heck of a shot there. You love the raw emotion. Again, Ian Genge back here with us. As I take this second, I'll take the first half of the third, and then Alec will get set to close. If we need OT, we can pivot across the board here as we got everybody locked in. At some point, we will get Cooper Hopkins, but this is a 3-3 game. We probably do expect more goal scoring. I'll say this honestly, Alec, to begin the series in games 1 and 2 before things start to lock down. This looks more like the Carolina-Montreal series from the very beginning when we got a ton of goals, but nothing wrong with that. We got some good, clean excitement here in Game 1.
That we did as Ian rejoins this broadcast. And yes, a couple games ago, yes, I have to say, regarding that illness, are you back and recovered from it, Ian? You there, man? So from the looks of it, I have to say that he is progressing. This is from what we've heard from him, but we're coming back into action. We're guaranteed a second-time winner of the Stanley Cup. Game 2 is 2 nights from now on Thursday.
Yeah, we got Thursday and Saturday with you this week, so we're not going to have those long layoffs like we did when you had all that air travel in between Edmonton and Florida when we had to go about 3-4 nights, and I think Alec and I and everyone else were just getting withdrawals because we didn't get enough of the Stanley Cup Finals. It took too long to get going.
Oh, yeah. And of course, you can fly directly from Raleigh to Las Vegas. That's a plus.
Yeah, it makes it a heck of a lot easier. 6 minutes left to go here in this middle frame. We got a 3-3 game now. Jordan Stahl with the latest. Canceled off 3 straight for Vegas. Jarvis had a good screen in front. Again, that is what Vegas does not want. They're pretty good at canceling out the middle of the slot, but that Jordan Stahl chance was from far out and sniped, as this one will be settled down on the trapper of Freddie Anderson.
Carolina fans are wondering, how is that not a penalty against Rasmus Anderson for holding the stick? But that further back into play, it seemed that he held one of the Hurricane sticks. And fans were wondering, where's the penalty for that?
Yeah, there's been a couple of calls that have been missed on both sides. I agree with you, Alec. There should at least be two on both. We've only got one. Both teams went 0 for 1, and then right after that, Jordan Stahl pretty much scored to tie this at 3. Again, it's 5:44 left to go in the second. John, you're with you alongside Alec Nava and Ian Genge. We're at the Lenovo Center, the site of the Stanley Cup Finals, Game 1. Carolina's got the better record. That's why they're going to get games 1 and 2, and then you're going to mix them between 5 and 7 should we need it. As this is sent back in now, and then up and out of play one more time.
So, yeah, during the pregame on the video board, what I'm seeing here is that a map of the United States and Canada, which teams are fighting over one another at the end, in which it has the Hurricanes basically engulfing the entire North American region, and Nevada's left with the Golden Knights, and then the text just said, everyone hates you, Vegas. Let's go Canes. Which, to be fair, if you're a heel the way that Vegas is, you're probably going to get the most hate out of the league.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think everybody and their mother here is rooting for the Carolina Hurricanes. I just want to see a really good series. I feel like we're going to get one, but I wouldn't be the least bit upset if Carolina did lift the Stanley Cup in about a week and a half from now. Is this one sent in up high over the shoulder of Carter Hart? Here's Wild Bill. I will always root for him, though, as it's sent him behind the inboards now. The former Columbus Blue Jacket. This is picked up here off a back pass from Shea Theodore. Little outstretch here on a one-on-one. And this is Stankoven now trying to work on McNabb. He gets worked over pretty good. It was loose in the middle of the circles. And now picked up for Dorofeev. He had Barbashev on side, but he couldn't pick up the initial pass. It's a missed opportunity for John Tortorella's squad. I could have scored there. Jack Eichel off the drop from Ehlers. He opened the scoring a couple of times. Here's Stankoven. His wrister will go up and on a play off a stick at 426.
Brandon McNabb was all over Logan Stankoven over these last few seconds on that shift. As we get the ice scraping from 426 to left, what a period it is for Vegas. And the one goal which Carolina scored in this period, they're not counting as a scoring chance. It's officially done for Carolina in the second period, 9 for Vegas. So it's funny how scoring chances are, because on the one time Carolina doesn't get a scoring chance when they're close enough to a scoring chance, they score.
Yeah, and I don't like that rule. If you get a scoring chance and it goes in the net, you just count that as a scoring chance and a goal.
Well, you take what you can get at the end of the day, John.
Scoreboard, I guess. That's all you got to really think about. So in this third period, we gave it the first period reset, but in the third, there was a lot that happened. There was 3 goals again, but this time the inverse. Barbashev scored 30 seconds in from Eichel and McNabb, and then Will Carlson on a good pass in the middle of the slot from Mitch Marner, who continues his playoff point lead. It's his 15th assist to go with Brett Howden on the secondary. Jordan Stahl, as Alec mentioned, on the wonderful steal from Keandre Miller in the high slot. He snipes it past Hart, makes it a 3-3 game. That was at 12:42, assisted by Miller and Martinook. Freddie Anderson has stopped 10 of 13. Carter Hart has stopped 12 of 15. So the save percentage and goals against are hurting at this point. And then for your particulars, these shots are 15-13 for the Canes, hits 23-17 VGK. Canes have taken a slight edge in the faceoffs, 19-16. Both teams just 0 for 1 with power play opportunities.
Honestly, it was expected on special teams that the penalty kill would have the most say between these two teams. Carolina completely closed out Vegas, though Vegas was close to scoring a couple of times. Though at the other minutes, you think that the Hurricanes would force the Golden Knights to the outside. That's what they've been doing to the other 3 teams they face. Take this lead notes for the next time they go on the penalty kill, to force Vegas to the outside, to prevent them from getting any quality looks.
Yeah, that's what you need to do, because that second period looked largely dangerous. As Keandre Miller keeps this in for Walker, got traffic in front of the net, but it doesn't hit the blade a hole. You knew there was going to be a little bit of a push check after that. They want to make sure Taylor Hall doesn't get too close to Carter Hart. We get a stoppage at 4:18.
Whereas we profiled Taylor Hall a lot. Hart Trophy winner with the Devils in 2018. and his leadership is what makes him valuable. And yes, I said again, he initially was used as a throw-in, but he's been so valuable to Carolina that he got himself an extension after last season, and he's paying off dividends on a cheaper cap hit.
Yes, he is. And I like for Taylor Hall, again, you don't have the supreme skill that he used to have when he was a Hart Trophy winner, but his willingness to get to the front of the net and win those battles and do everything that the team needs, that's the kind of guys you need to be able to get production in the playoffs. And Carolina's got a lot of that. There's a flipping pass sent back around the inboards now for Stoll. He's got the latest. Martin up now off the wraparound attempt. We'll try to get it going against Noah Hannafin. Off the drop, a sharp angle slop shot. It's deflected. Chatfield, he's got a good feed. This one wide. There were some Carolina fans that thought they scored. Picked up here for Ehlers off the backboards and then intercepted by Barbashev, former Stanley Cup champion with the St. Louis Blues and the Golden Knights. Slavin sends this back around now for Chatfield to a crisscross. A little bit too far for Jacob. This will give some position here for Wild Bill. Sent back in behind the inboards now. Marner tried to steal it on the right corner. Carolina now can turn on the burners. 3:10 left to go in the second. Here's a chance. Big hit against Carrier as he gets bowled over like a sack of potatoes. This goes back down on the inboards now. And they'll crisscross. Long outstretched pass across the wall. Goes around the blade of Carter Hart. We'll see it in reverse course. Here to Brett Howden. Howden will spin and turn in his own end and leave now off the slap shot. Sent back in behind the inboards now. Coughlin try to leave it now for Hurdle. Hurdle will get to it, and this will be tied up a couple of times. Right in the high slot. This is Jarvis. Cross ice feed. Should have shot it. Couldn't find the other side that he needed to. This will give Vegas some puck possession. 2:25 left to go in the second. Another hit attempt against Chatfield. McNabb keep his head up now. He's got some defense to do against Jarvis. 3 goals in the playoffs, 32 in the regular season. They're going to need more from him as well. Picked up now, Aho, and a curling shot goes up and out of play.
Oh, he had to find that over the net, and it went out of play. He wanted to go topside on this breakaway shot, which was going loose. There was a big hit earlier in the game that caused Seth Jarvis to go through it. That was a tangle, not a hit. It was Brady McNabb fell down, lost the stick. But you're right, John. Seth Jarvis should have shot that puck. Shane Theodore was blocking off that lane pretty tightly. If he were to pass, I'm pretty sure he meant to go to Svechnikov. Instead, he went back for Gostisbehere.
Yeah.
If he were to pass, Svechnikov should have been the target, and it should have been a saucer pass across.
Yeah, I agree. If you're going to do that, otherwise, if you're Jarvis, you're walking into the right side post, and you got that goal scoring ability when Carolina needs it. You got to just take it. You're not going to get better shots than that against defensive units like this. Here is Aho. Nice curl and drag off the lead. Carolina. Here's a slapper here for Svech, and that one goes wide. But that was a good setup on the move as they finally got some open space. About 40 thereabouts left to go in the second as we'll get a whistle.
We'll have to see what exactly is the Svechnikov. I don't think he exited the offensive zone on time, so the offside was still going to stand. The faceoff's going to come outside the Vegas zone. But man, he had a good look from the near side and kind of just lost it. 31 goals in the regular season, which is a career high, but it's a nice cross feed to find the open Svechnikov who fired that one-timer. He did brace himself for a hit from Nick down, and he did keep his head up, so not all is lost.
Again, we talk about the shot board and maybe first to 20. We're not quite at that marker yet. Vegas had gotten themselves back into this game. They were only down 2-1. It's now 3-3 as this is knocked away from Vegas. Picked up now off the back skate. Touchdown in between the blade of Hall. We'll have to throw it back to his defense. Again, the longest gap between winning a cup was 16 years for Chris Chelios, alongside with the Red Wings. Hand in the air. It's going to be a tripping call against Carolina. They took out Barbashev.
Yeah, Ivan Barbashev got wiped off the play by Jalen Chatfield, who's going to go to the box for 2 minutes. As we mentioned last time about Carolina and their penalty kill, it's been superb, but you want to stay out the box for as much as possible. You want to stay 5-on-5 as Chatfield He didn't even try to play this puck.
No.
He just tripped up Barbashev.
That's one of the only things he's done wrong in this game, to go with a couple assists. Now he sits in the box for what he hopes is the intermission carryover time. There will be carryover. They don't score quickly enough. $1:25 left to go here in this middle frame in a 3-3 game. This is just game one of the Stanley Cup Finals. At least we have Thursday and Saturday with you this week, so there won't be any really long layovers. Just the one shot on goal. Tomas Hertl will win it off the tie-up, and this is out. And we'll see if there's going to be a penalty here against Eichel. No, he's going to get away with a lot of contact there to take away the short-handed rush that could have been. Marner put this one across the left side red line, flipping past. He's going to get it back now. Marner will spin here to the left side. Here's Hertl back in behind the net for Mitch. Touch pass. Jack Eichel, high slot. Eichel wrister. This is deflected off the Carolina body. This goes back to Jack near the right side blue line. Dorofeev off the lead now. Here's Hertl. Marner high slot. Still trying to find something. Dorofeev near the right dot. Marner slapper. This hits the glass. We'll see if Jack can retrieve it in the left side corner. Picked up by Stone. He'll throw the body out there. Hertl. Keep it alive. Marner. He could walk in and wrist it. He leaves for Jack. To the left side dot. Back to Mitch. Touch pass. There's a slap shot for Dorofeev, but it's read by Anderson, and the net is knocked loose. That should blow the play dead nonetheless. Stone's still looking. They took a long time to blow that whistle. 16 seconds left to go in the middle frame.
I heard a goalpost in which it was, as you said, it was deflected off a Carolina body. I thought I heard a goalpost on the long blast, but you mentioned about the center ice hold. You have to call that. Jordan Staal was rushing in all alone, untouched, for a potential short-handed breakaway. You have to call that. Yes, Jack Eichel, he did fire a slap shot that went off the post with Staal going down to block. And that in which the net was not loose. That was Jacob Slavin shoving Mark Stone to the net, and Stone was wondering where the penalty was for that. So there are missed penalties on both sides.
We got 3 now on both sides that could easily be called. Both teams would be about 4 power play opportunities. But you're absolutely right. I think that hold should have been called. I think that hit should have been called. Again, as you get later in this, you're not expecting to get those calls. But man, oh man, you just don't want these guys to start looking like rock'em sock'ems at this point. I do think as the series moves along, we'll see less and less hits because you can't maintain that pace. But we'll see what we get. Shea Theodore. Now we'll push this one up the ice. Time for one more rush. And along the end boards for Rasmus Anderson. Turnaround shot goes wide, but that ends the second. It was eventful. It was 3 goals aside in both periods. And we're even after 40. It's 3-3.
That second period was a tale of 2 different teams. First, it was all Vegas, and then Carolina picked up where they left off from the first period. Vegas was firing an onslaught through that second period, but now this is the toughest test for Carolina. Can they stand up and shut down the best third period team in the league?
Yeah, that is a question. So, gentlemen, we're talking about Taylor Hall before, and I have a question, a hypothetical. What state would the end? Okay. What Peter Chiarelli had never traded Taylor Hall to the New Jersey Devils, but they still end up with Leon Draisaitl. I mean, think about it. You have Taylor Hall still as a wingman with Connor McDavid, and you still have Draisaitl as a second-line center. And possibly, you have all 3 as forwards on a power play. Where do you think Edmonton's at?
I still think that they would be in salary cap hell, Ian. You talk about it over the last couple of years in terms of the depth that they did have, and before the Stan Bowman takeover when they couldn't finish it off against the Florida Panthers. I think that they would be in a similar situation. It looks a hell of a lot worse now because I do think Stan Bowman doesn't know what the heck he's doing. That's just my opinion. But I would say, at least for Taylor Hall now, he's happy where he is.
That is the truth.
Yeah. Taylor Hall is definitely happy where he is in Carolina, and he loves playing for the Hurricanes. What we mentioned about the Hall, McDavid, Draisaitl, I get flashbacks to what if John Tavares stayed as an Islander?
Yeah. That's another one of those.
Similar.
Mm-hmm.
So on that, yes, with the John Tavares staying an Islander, it would be a salary cap hell situation. And of course, with the Tavares situation, it's different because Hall was traded for Adam Larson. Tavares wanted no part of the Islanders after they wasted him and years of a contention window in which Garth Snow managed to throw out the window.
That's a name I have not heard in a while. Was that the former, I believe, Philadelphia Flyers netminder? That's been a name.
Oh, that's the guy.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm going way back through. I can't believe I even remember that. I guess we're all hockey sycophants.
Yeah, we are.
I don't know what's going on in Major League Baseball, and I know this team doesn't matter because they're in last place. But the Tigers ended up getting a couple of wins over the Rays, and I thought they had a 6-0 lead yesterday, had to hold on. They actually beat Tampa 8-0. Where was this in May? I guess they're just going to start out in June.
Yeah, as of right now, we're checking the scoreboard. The Pirates are 6-4 on the Astros. The Pirates have hit a bit of a skid. Not that big of a skid, but it's been more up and down for the Pirates and the rest of the NL Central. At this time, we realize the Brewers are still the standard in the division.
Let's look at this now and see where you are in the NL Central, because I remember that one was still teams all above 500. And yeah, you're still in the wild card mix here, and alongside with the St. Louis Cardinals. If you actually do get a chance to call postseason baseball with the Pittsburgh Pirates, you're going to jump right to it, Alec?
Oh, for sure. I would want to get on the first opportunity.
Absolutely. You know what? We can just keep talking about the Pirates. There's really no need to talk about the other representation. I'll put it to you this way, fellas. We have, for the first time in a long time, we have only a couple, but a couple of the radio hosts are finally screaming into the headsets to fire people for the Royals. Do you have any idea how frustrated, even when the team was losing 100 games a season, you wouldn't hear that from the radio hosts. But the city's fed up. We're done. The Royals now are 23-38. With this level of young talent that we supposedly have, our manager is the team is being managed by Ehlers. The team is being managed by a guy whose personality equates to Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. Our hitting coach is a former minor league pitcher. Our general manager is great on the trade market, but doesn't know how to build a team with the money he's given. And our owner is still cheap. So, and at this point, only we are ready to trade all but 4 or 5 players that are currently on the roster. It is 2024 was only the wild card victory in 2024 was only brought about because Bobby Wood Jr. played a legitimate MVP caliber season. I still believe he should have got the MVP. Yes, even over Judge, because he was the reason the Royals got to the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
And it is quite obvious now, this team still sucks.
Let me keep this short and sweet because I know Alex got some other stuff he's going to want to talk about too. But I do think it's really interesting this time along the board that we would look over the bow, Ian, and we would say, wow, what's going on with the Pirates? And you and I would talk about that all the time. And now the shoe's on the other foot over the last 3 years and hell's frozen over. And Alec would be like, wow, what's going on with the Tigers and the Royals?
Well, to be fair, I've been asking Dad throughout the season what's going on with the Tigers, because there should be no reason Detroit should be 24 and 38.
I know that they were beaten like just a broadside barn in a used car as far as the injuries. I get all of that, but I just don't like the regression from some of the things that I'm seeing from the young players. God bless Kevin McGonigal. I think he's going to be a good player, and I like what I'm seeing from him. But I'd like to see some of the other guys besides him and Riley Green step up and follow suit.
Yeah, I will say I will say regarding the Kansas City Royals, specifically two players in particular, Salvador Perez. Listen, you're a World Series champion to a team that hadn't had one in 30 years. It's time. Sir, please retire. It's time. You can't. No. He doesn't swing at everything, but he will swing at anything. Seriously. And Vinny Pasquantino, gentlemen, all I can say is at least Chris Davis was good enough to secure a long-term seven-figure contract before he went into his nuclear winter and was the Chris Davis and became the meme that is going to be the new Bobby Bonilla Day when Bobby Bonilla Day is eventually over. Vinny Pasquantino is in that stage. Oh my Lord. When your most productive players to start to pretty much the entire season are Michael Garcia, Bobby Wood Jr., Kyle Isdell, and Lane Thomas.
You're talking about the former Washington National, I believe?
Yes.
Wow.
You know, the man who, if you really want to know, he has the most positive play of the Royal season, and it was a walk-off 3-run home run. But he is the only one who has that, and who has any claim to that. This team is terrible. Lucas Erceg is a gas can. He just blew a lead in the 9th inning tonight. He is terrible. Carlos Estevez is falling off of a cliff. Gentlemen, just be ready. Because a friend of mine and I, we have a plan. At the end, May is over. That is the benchmark for all baseball teams. You know what your team is come the end of May. Usually. Now, there are exceptions like the 2019 Washington Nationals, but they are few and far between. As for the Kansas City Royals of today, trash. They're bad. And they don't even have the excuse of injuries to piggyback off of. Vinny has been bad from the outset, from the start. Salvador Perez has been bad from the start. They benched Carter Jensen for 2 games for oversleeping, but apparently they can't bench anybody else for being god-awful.
I wasn't in the propensity, Ian, just to get you to blow your voice out, but I feel your pain in certain ways, but yes.
Yeah. But, hey, Alec, it's kind of a flip of the coin whether or not the Pirates were going to maintain form because they've done this before. But I'm hoping for the best, man, because at least it will be a breath of fresh air.
Thanks, man. And thanks to everybody. And yes, it would be a breath of fresh air should we hang on and make the postseason, which Pirates fans have been starving for postseason baseball. And it is early. And yes, I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch. But as we look, this season has been a season to remember and more throughout Pittsburgh. The whole dilemma about will Kowalski stay or will he walk? Well, so far he's been as dominant as he can come by. But how about Braxton Ashcraft with a 2.77 ERA, which paces the team among the starters, and Gregory Soto. Turns out who we got for a one-year deal. He's been amazing so far.
You got him for cheap. You got Ryan O'Hearn for cheap. Brandon Lau. Oh, my Lord.
Connor Griffin. Who we called up at the beginning of the season. He's been incredible. And how about the most underrated player? Nick Gonzalez. He's batting .303.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
Yes. Nick Gonzalez, who's been a revelation at third base. I don't even have the words to say it.
No, because let me look at it like this. Again, you've had him for a long time. Brian Hayes was always a guy that could play some good defense, but he couldn't hit a lick. And now this guy's playing a good third base and hitting over 300. You got to be doing a backflip.
Well, yeah. Shipping off Brian Hayes to Cincinnati was basically addition by subtraction for the Pirates, and the full potential of the bats are being shown on full display.
You want another diamond in the rough. Hey, John, how about this name for the Pirates? Jake Mangum, cast out from the Tampa Bay Rays, hitting 290 at his speed.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that. Neither would have Kevin Cash.
Nah, bro, that's dumb.
Oh, if there's a year for the Pirates to make it to the dance, this is the year.
Yeah, you got a lot of guys that got some good averages. I want to look at the pitching here really quickly, as you mentioned, but yeah, Ashcraft, excellent. You got Skeens, and you got some pretty good guys in the bullpen. Again, I remember when they had Gregory Soto for the Tigers. The only problem with him is it wasn't the velocity and all. I just couldn't locate anything, but looks like he's been able to kind of recoup that there for Pittsburgh, so that's pretty good.
It is. And the one thing that we need to get at the deadline is a closer. We need someone who can close out games efficiently, because we got some sort of trouble on that, but the other NL teams, they are figuring out some things in the rough. Right now, the National League is very jam-packed in the wild card race.
Yeah.
We know who the division leaders are. The Braves, the Dodgers, and the Brewers. We already know how they have shaped their things out. But it's a several-team battle for the two wild cards. The Diamondbacks, Padres, Cardinals, then the Pirates, Cubs, even teams in the negative run differential like the Reds and Phillies there. And even the Nationals have some sort of life in it. But how long that lasts, we don't know. But what I'm wishing for is a closer by the deadline. The National League's a bloodbath.
And it would just be good to say, Alec, by next month, that the Pittsburgh Pirates would be a buyer at the deadline.
If we are buying at the deadline, please, I want this to pay off with a reward of a postseason.
Yeah.
And that means getting by teams, getting by all the Diamondbacks, Padres. You know, if the Padres do make it get in and keep their spot, I want to see this backed up with the Pirates also make it in. And how about How about the possibility of 3 NL Central teams in the postseason like last year, except in place of the Reds, the Pirates?
Oh, that'd be interesting. Well, I mean, if you really want to try and find another bullpen piece to serve as a closer, I mean, you get the Pirates right now are having incredible luck with a former Royal and Evan Sisk. He's pitching to a 1.44 ERA right now as one of your bullpen pieces. Sorry. But yeah, Evan Sisk, you acquired him from the Royals last season. He is your most efficient bullpen piece right now. You want to try and with the Royals, he certainly wasn't showing that. I don't know. Hey John, are there any borderline bullpen pieces in your organization that if the Pirates buy low, they can refurbish?
They already did with Gregory Soto, but I'll let you know about another. I'll already let you know about a month from now when that ends up changing. As we get set for a 3-3 tie in this third, I'm going to take the front half. I'm going to leave the back half to Alec. But I'm going to say this right now. Mr. Nava, is Carolina going to win it in this third period, or are we going to go to OT? What's your thought?
Oh, man. If we get the first period version of Carolina, then yes. If we get the second period version of Carolina, then that depends. If it's the first period, no. If it's the second period, we're getting overtime. So I'm basically answering 3 different answers here. But if I'm a Hurricanes fan, I'm wanting the first period version of Carolina.
So Alex saying yes for the win or at least OT. Again, we're not going to go for Vegas here at this point, at least, because you're not in VGK right now. You're at the Lenovo Center. But right now, you got to kill 25 seconds. Power play time for Vegas. They'd be 0 for 2. Carolina is going to start with the puck here in the O zone of VGK. Sent back in behind now for Jordan Stahl. And a big hit away from the left side red line. A little bit of an interference after that from Martinuk. You got to try to find his blade. Michael gets taken down. Here's Dorofeev can walk in, and he missed the right side of the post. Little inauspicious start here to begin this third. Dorofeev canceled off. Power play expired. Vegas and Stone. Watch this go behind the inboards now. Jalen Chatfield will get back up from his tripping infraction. Here's Hurdle. He is on the right side boards. Turn around. Here's a chance. Gets canceled off as Freddie Anderson was away from that left side red line. He gets back into the goal crease in the stand-up near the right post. Chatfield still trying to hunt for the vulcanized rubber. It's been a long shift and a little uneven because of that power play time. So these lines will have to get switched in or blender a little bit. Will Carlson has the possession off a drop in tight for Barbashev. High slot wrister fought up by Anderson. It was lively off the backboards. Back to VGK. Theodore steps in, scores! Redirected, and Vegas has the lead.
We mentioned about Vegas being the best third period team in the NHL. This is no different. A redirect out in front, and it's Brett Howden with his 11th goal of the postseason. 4-3. Theodore had the original shot, and that's the third time in this game which the opening goal came in 90 seconds or less. It is Theodore the long shot originally. That gets sticked away, but that keeps it. It finds Theodore. He finds the open Brett Howden on a shot pass towards the right of Freddie Anderson, and Howden makes no mistake to center this up.
So how about this, gentlemen, as we talk about this, comes as no surprise. A couple of long shifts in the zone for Vegas in the second, and now to start in the third, you get those, you start breaking down the defense. This was coming off of a penalty. Carolina now looking to answer. This is sent back in behind the inboards. This game has been steadfast up and down the ice. It's been very entertaining. You can certainly say that as a neutral observer for myself. Picked up now in amongst the inboards, but I can't imagine having my own team in the mix of it like Alec is. But Carolina's still right in this thing. The shot board is only at 17. So the goals against for these netminders, they've been well insulated, but hasn't been good in the percentages, so to speak. As this is knocked away up in the air. Robinson bowled over by Dowd. A little bit of fourth line crime. Picked up here now. Turned over. Here's a wrister. As this was knocked away from Dorofia. That was dangerous. Barbashev steals. Centers for Eichel. He missed it. Theodore now with a chance. As it's sent back around now by Barbashev. Vegas hunting the vulcanized rubber again. Eichel gets there first. He'll spin away from the danger. Loop back in behind the net. Eichel, puck protect. Try to send it back to the defense. It's turned over. Carolina quickly trying to answer. And a good stick chop knocks us away from the left side dot. Picked up now, but a whistle below the play dead at 17-16. What action we've got in this game.
This is what I was worrying about for Carolina. You cannot be complacent in this third period because Vegas will attack at the offense so relentlessly. There's a reason why they're the best third period team in the NHL. They're comfortable playing from behind. They're comfortable erasing deficits. Doesn't matter how big of a lead you have, they're just going to find a way to make this a game.
I'm glad that we mentioned that repeatedly in the Stanley Cup Final preview show yesterday, Alec, because you're exactly right. We both said that in our notes. You mentioned that for Vegas. We talked about the 3-0 deficit to come back to win. They got it all squared away in that second. Hell, that second period of that game 3 kind of looked like that in this game 1, where you just hit that Uno reverse. Carolina's got plenty of time. Rasmus Anderson now. Here we wrap around. It was loose for Carlson, and that goes wide of his blade. It's all Vegas. Sent back in behind the right side boards. Picked up now toward the right side glass. Anderson through the traffic, and it's finally picked off. Working the other way now, Svechnikov. Spin now for Taylor Hall. As this line gets rolled over a little bit, Stankoven pick up the left side dot one-timer. Miller hits the glass. Carolina will get a chance to use this now. Left side blue line off the leave. It's Hall in the middle of the circles and then gets sticked away. Vegas got to take their change quickly. Slavin sees it, try to get going here. Picked up now to the left side dot. Back to Jacob. And this will get sent back in the corner instead for Stankoven. Stankoven now in behind the former Dallas star. Backhand to the one-timer. Good save, Carter Hart with the left pad. 4 minutes have expired in the third, but we get a whistle beforehand.
It was out of play as it was deflected out. Carolina has to do better at covering the neutral zone, as they're allowing too many breakout passes from Vegas in this third period. As Rasmus Anderson tried to wrap around William Karlsson, had a tap in from Brett Howden to not get it, had it landed onto a stick. And Carolina is fortunate to not have that proof. Howden did run into Anderson once, but the officials are just going to let this play.
So we're being honest here, gentlemen. In the mix of Carolina probably could have had a couple more goals as Vegas has iced it against themselves. Carolina probably could be up and have 5 or 6 goals, but Vegas could easily have about 7 or 8 at this point. There's been a lot of missed opportunities for pucks that have just bounced off of skate blades or not hit sticks. But as you said, Alec, that middle of the slot right now is not being covered by Vegas. They're getting right in front of Freddie Anderson. They're breathing down his neck.
Yeah, they are. The slot is Vegas' deadliest weapon. William Carey just got blasted by Jeremy Lauzon. It's a good thing that he's back for Vegas.
Sent behind the end boards now. Sissons can't get to it. This is Nikishin looping in behind the end boards. Icing waved off. Theodore hit hard by Will Carrier. This is sent up ahead by Hurdle and rolled down to Freddie Anderson quickly out of his goal crease to play it. Vegas steals momentarily with Dowd, and then a backhanded pass from Keandre Miller. A good one. Ehlers, Stahl, wrister, 5-hole save Carter Hart in the left side red line. Ehlers try to throw this back to the point. It's tipped. This one wide of Hart, but it goes up and out at 15:07.
Carolina needs to get more from what they did in the first period. Vegas has took what Carolina has given to them in the first period and matched that. And they're covering areas better. They forced Carolina to the outside. That's what's needed from both teams defensively, to force these teams to the outside to prevent any high-quality looks.
Brayden McNabb, 3 assists in this game to go with a block shot in 15-17. Alec and I had mentioned this a little bit in the preview as well. You look at the defensive pairings that both Carolina and Vegas have. They can move, they're elite, they can pass the puck well. I think they're both giving as good as they get. This has been a fantastic game. I would expect less goals to be scored as we move along. I think all of us believe that, but the shot board probably is where it's supposed to be at this point. If we go ahead and look at that, it's 20-19, so not a lot of chances, but we've got a lot of goals at this point. And it's Howden. This is loose out in front. It was a centering feed. Vegas just keeps it alive with Theodore. Carlson is being all tied up in front of the net, as this is almost stolen by John Tortorella's squad. Backhanded pass. Gets set up now for Jarvis. He gets swept away from the left side blue line as Howden will punt it first. Big glove back down. Here's McNabb. Quickly try to get this one out. And this will roll down toward Carolina and Rod Brind'Amour's squad. Jacob Slavin will leave. He'll get off the ice as part of that second line, I imagine, as Keandre Miller got it. Will work their way. Keandre makes one pivot. Left side red line will send the puck in deep as his right. Shot board 20-19. This will go right in the glove of Carter Hart, and we'll get a stoppage at 14-11.
The shot board is kind of even here, but the next goal from Carolina they have to score at is going to be earned, though. It's not going to be a pretty type of goal. It's going to be on a greasy bounce.
We said this from the second line. What happens if that second line gets shut down for Carolina? No matter. Third line's got all their goals right now. 2 for Ehlers, 1 for Stahl. But as Alec mentioned, the next goal, it's going to be the biggest one. It's going to be a 2-goal swing or a tie. Alec's going to get set to take over in a few minutes' time here. As it's put back amongst the inboards now, jerseys in black lose the puck. Vegas trying to get it out. Here's rolling. Good keep in there for Keandre. And an outstretched pass in the middle of the circles is contested, but Vegas will pick it up. Maybe not before a penalty, though, against the VGK, but a hand pass instead, so we'll stay even strength.
There's still 5-on-5, where both teams thrive at the most. So
maybe not.
actually, we got a penalty.
We did get a penalty on the initial call. It's going to be Rasmus Anderson with putting his hand on the puck.
So closing hand on the puck officially. So John, we didn't think it was going to be a penalty originally, but the hand motion initially it seemed like it was going to be delay of game, but instead it's closing the hand on the puck. One of the penalties you don't see often, John.
No, you don't. And Carolina's got their opportunity here with their second man advantage to tie this game. We've got 7 goals scored right now. And again, for those that are just joining us, the late is Brett Howden with his 11th of the postseason already. He is in MVP conversation. Shea Theodore, 3rd assist, alongside McNabb, I should say. Theodore got the primary, McNabb got the second.
Howden's proven himself as a worthy playoff performer in Vegas. And he was originally seen as a captain by the New York Rangers, but he's found his stride on the middle 6. And he can play bottom line minutes. That was where he was originally, but he found his groove on the second line. That's where he was next to Chandler Stevenson and Mark Stone 3 years ago. Now he's on it again with William Karlsson and Mitch Marner.
Yeah, the depth scoring for both of these teams has been ridiculous. It's been really, really good in this game on both sides. Now we just need Carolina to get this tied up on the power play here, as Rasmus Anderson is going to be in the box for what he hopes is 2 minutes of putting his hand on the puck. Again, I'll give you one more reset here. I'll call this power play and then get set to hand it off. But shots are now 19 aside. Hits are 32-23. So both teams average a little over 30 hits. Looks like we're going to get to that. And face-offs, 25-23 for Vegas. Carolina got their second power play. Vegas already 0 for 2. Giveaways, there's been a few. There's been a total of 30. Carolina's got 16. Vegas has 14 takeaways, 4-3 for Carolina. Block shots, not as many as I would have thought yet, Alec, but it is 12-9 for Carolina.
Yeah, he just simply, Anderson, as we gained the replay, he just grabbed the puck on a shot block and just threw it. You cannot do that in the NHL.
Just trying to relieve the pressure in any way, and now they're going to deal with the Carolina power play, as this backhand will work excellently down the ice to Freddie Anderson. $1:45 left to go in the second man advantage. Ghost will send this one back again. He's spent some time with the Red Wings, and I certainly miss him. Ehlers, he's still on hat-trick watch, and this pass is way too hard back in amongst the defense, and this goes back to Shayne. 13:15 left to go in the third. John out here with you alongside Alec Nava and Genge. Svechnikov, take this pass the long way. Sent back in behind the inboards now. Picked up for Gostisbehere. One more for Ehlers, left dot. High slot Aho. Back to Shayne now, left circle. Seth Jarvis crisscross to Sebastian Aho. Somebody lost his stick. Jarvis got a shooting lane and he missed it all. And that was a missed opportunity for Carolina. They had a two-man advantage at the moment. Here is Svechnikov. Send this in behind the inboards now. Aho. Slowly to Shayne Gostisbehere. Right sideline. Jarvis lost it in amongst his skate blade. And that's going to work out here as Eichel can kill some more time. They'll drive it toward Anderson. He'll be forced to have to play it. Eichel, excellent work to try to get in front of Freddie Anderson. And that's going to kill some of this power play time away. Gostisbehere is still trying to break out of his own end. He'll like to go back. So Carolina hasn't gotten the line just yet. Here's Logan Stankoven across the left wing for Taylor Hall. He has to spin against the right side glass, and Vegas gets an easy clear. Doesn't look like Carolina going to get anything going. They don't have a shot on either one of their power plays. Andrei Miller. Maybe time for one more rush if we can get this up, but they go for the back pass instead. Carolina's power play expires. Here is Stankoven now for Blake. Stankoven will leave it back for Andrei Miller. This is Rasmus Anderson out of the box. Got to get back on defense. Shot does not hit Carter Hart. No deflection there. As this is lifted down the ice. Carolina steals near the players' benches. As this will be spin and turn now. Off the long flip. I'm just going to leave this to you now, Alec. This seems like a good spot to stop. You take it away.
And yes, Vegas did do a good job killing that off, keeping Carolina all towards the outside, and there were looks on what was essentially a 5-on-3, even with that broken stick. That broken stick's out there as William Carrier runs into Dylan Cogwood from right behind the net. Alec Nava, John out here, Genge with you. Vegas leads 4-3. Both teams have 19 shots apiece. Freddie Anderson will let this one go. Nick Dowd wins the foot race as Chatfield and Martin are both there. Ivan Barbashev to the puck, knocked away by Chatfield, fed up the far side for Jankowski, and this is played out, and this is going to be very close. The officials are going to confirm whether or not this is delay of game.
I'm looking at it now alongside Jankowski. I think he might be the guilty party, my friend. He's going to the box.
Well, yes, he did fire this puck he was intending to clear, but it ended up over the glass. And the key here for delay of game is that the puck has to be over the glass for this to be considered delay of game. If it stays at the player's bench, then it is not delay of game. Here it ends up over the glass, that's delay of game.
This is a must kill at this point. 10:57 left to go in the third. Vegas only has 2 shots on their 2 power plays, but Carolina, they got to stand tall.
23.9% of the postseason are the Golden Knights entering this game on the power play. Carolina is 92.5% in the penalty kill entering this game. They have only surrendered 4 power play goals all postseason. Dorfia wants to change that. He takes this up himself up the middle. Fires a cross-ice pass that was intercepted, knocked down, and fired down the distance. Hart will play it again. And the boos here on Carter Hart almost as loud as Carolina booing Mikko Rantanen back on January 6th this season, when Logan Stankoven walked around him for one of the prettiest goals all year. Jack Eichel from the left circle. Drop back for Tomas Hertl. He wants to find Barter. Instead, he is forced back thanks to a good stick in the way, and continuing to hound him down was Seth Jarvis. Mark Stoner said, "Here's Hertl! Stop by Freddie Anderson!" Kept alive by Vegas at the left play with Barter. Intercepted, and Carolina Runs down more time, and Vegas' power play is feeling all of the effects. They'll flex it up, and Carolina will kill off some more time. It's both penalty kills having all to say. 2-on-1 is quickly answered back by Keandre Miller, and William Carlson dropped for Barbashev. Back to the point is Theodore. Theodore's pass is blocked. And here's Eric Robinson, who will want to throw this back, but taking it back quickly is Brett Howden. Theodore and Anderson are both back on the fence. These two are manning the power play. Drop for Howden is leading the way with 20 seconds left. Carlson to Anderson. A pair of Swedes here on this power play. Over to the far corner for Howden. Howden gets sandwiched and poked away by Chatfield. Barno convinced the further on the backhand. That should do it as Jankowski is standing up front the penalty box doors. And he is out. That's now 52 of 56. Carolina on the penalty kill this postseason. What superb work when a man down. And an icing here is going to put the Kings on a favorable spot.
They get a chance to get everything all squared away now that they've just killed it. Now they got to go ahead and win a draw and get things moving. 8:46 left to go in the third. Tons and tons of time left.
Sean Walker is a huge part of this penalty kill too. A premier defenseman and the perfect partner for Keandre Miller. It'll be Stankoven to take this face-off for the Canes against Colton Sissons, who was 8 of 10. Excellent face-off man is Sissons. Dating back to his Nashville years, he has been to the finals in 2017. Off the face-off is a time for Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere fires! He scores! Shayne Gostisbehere! There's a ghost on the loose in Raleigh!
Man, he was able to walk in and fire past Carter Hart. No chance again to get the face-off tie up there. John Tortorella looks a little bit incensed in the why they couldn't get that puck pick up, but Gostisbehere knows he's going to get a good lane to shoot right off of this. Makes no mistake about it. Again, I'm looking at a previous replay here as this one gets sent in, which then forces that icing. And then as we get to it here off the tie, Gostisbehere can walk in the left dot, and the lefty fires and beats Carter Hart. We got a tie game once again.
And I did say, John, before right as the icing happened,
yep,
it put Carolina in a favorable spot.
You sure did.
Gostisbehere made sure of that. So a little bit of foreshadowing, as you please. We're tied at 4, and Vegas has iced it for a second straight time. Gostisbehere has spurred the playoffs, all of it in a 4-game span.
You know what the funniest thing, too, is? Because you got that exactly right. What did I say to you in the first period about the 20th shot on goal? Whoever gets to that might at least get to an important point. Well, the 20th shot on goal for Carolina has just tied this at 4-4.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that if this is foreshadowing or not, John. Perhaps it could be ironic that we could get another 5-4 final scoreline, just like in 2006. Miller on the key, turnaround shot. Stankoven couldn't handle it. Now he does. Miller, save hard. Here is Blake behind the net, tied up by Anderson. Now comes the Stankoven near corner. And blocked by Hennepin in front, the former Carolina Hurricane. Now it goes Rick White for Anderson as he tried to dance out one of the Canes. This time Vegas doesn't ice it, and now Carolina will play behind Marner. Active on the forecheck, trying to advance this for the Knights. Marner in the way of Wild Bill. This will be taken back by the Canes. Here's Walker for Miller. Keandre Miller from the red line sends this down the ice. And I don't know if this hit the Jumbotron, but the officials have stopped play. I think this may have hit the Jumbotron.
Yeah, you got up and out of play there. That shot was over the left leg of Nick Dowd, who was trying to block it. As we go to break at 7:49 of the third, we're tied at 4. This has been a whale of a game.
Oh, yeah, just as ESPN goes to break to the tune of ABBA. And this has been a whale of a game, of course. Now I wonder if the siren sounders of Game 2 are going to match the intensity that Eric Stahl just brought. Chad LaRose can crank it up, you know.
Chad LaRose, here's an interesting story for those that don't know. On the local side, in the MIHL, where I have to cover with the Sharks in the Shadow, Chad LaRose is actually from Fraser, Michigan. I got to see him in the regular season. when the Sharks played the Shadow, and he is the former Stanley Cup champion of the Carolina Hurricanes.
I think you brought that up there, John. A little story about Chad LaRose. He was integral in that 2006 Cup winning team on the bottom six for the Canes. So I would bet that every siren sounded to open up for the Canes is a member of the 2006 Cup winning team. And Ian mentioned that he had this going 7. If we do get a game 7, get Justin Williams to sound the siren.
Absolutely. If you don't do that, you're doing it wrong.
Yes.
Here's what next game it'll Rose. If it goes, if game 5, Cam Ward.
I was just thinking about him in game 5. No, Vegas, they do have their siren that they can crank up, and with Vegas and Carolina in the final, I can only wonder one question. It's kind of related to the city in which this guy is from, and the state in which most NASCAR teams are at. What team is Kurt Busch rooting for? I think he may be Vegas, but most of the NASCAR teams are from North Carolina.
We got 7:49 left to go here in this third as we get a neutral zone draw.
Jordan Stahl is at the face-off against Jack Eichel. This is the matchup Brind'Amour wants to shut down Vegas' top line. And it's fired inside the third. They're going to call this icing as Vegas' guys were back there first. And it's the third line that got 3 goals here, 2 from Ehlers, 1 from Stahl.
Got to be honest with you, gentlemen. Did you expect 8 goals scored already with 7:42 left in the third?
I gotta be. No, honestly, I thought it would be 2-2 by now.
Quite frank, that would have been the scoreline that we were expecting. 4-4 is more of a showdown for offensive fireworks. A series of the lines of, say, Anaheim versus Edmonton. We did get a couple of those, as it's Nick Ehlers with it. Who feeds it back for Chatfield. Chatfield on a pinball in front of the crease. And bounced off of Hart as Bartno kept this alive, finding Ehlers across the ice. Ehlers on hat-trick watch from long range and hit a body in front. He wanted the long-range shot, possibly a deflection. Miller, the other offseason addition in which the Hurricanes acquired him and sending Scott Morrow a first and a second to the Rangers in exchange. Ivan Barbashev up the middle, intercepted by Miller as the long-range pass didn't work. The Hurricanes come back with Seth Jarvis, waiting. Now sending this to the slot. Svechnikov had it knocked away. Aho plays it in the right point as Walker will whip this one around. Mark Stone gets this out. Or rather, it's one of his line mates, Stone. Was tied up, but is picked up now by Vegas. In front, Freddie Anderson! Rolls down and denies the Knights with the left pad.
Colton Sissons was so wide open there off this touch pass by Mark Stone, and that was a wonderful save for Freddie Anderson, able to slide over with a robbery with the right pad.
Oh my goodness. If Carolina wins this, you can replay that as the turning point of this game for the Canes. And we could not point that as one of such, along with the Gostisbehere goal. Carolina trying to get it out. They are sandwiched a couple of times. Aho feeds it to himself along the far boards. Aho up ahead for Svechnikov, who stops on a dime. Kicks St. Hart, an easy one, as Aho keeps it alive in the near corner. Svechnikov is tied up by Stahl. He pokes away on the forehead. Wanted to go back left point, but there was a man in front. Bluffed down by Keandre Miller as Vegas is changing. Miller will send this in. Hart places to the far corner for Lazar. Intercepted on a turnover. Carolina goes back with Blake on a backhander. And Hart denies that. Right as the line change ensues. 5:49 left. We're all squared up at 4 apiece.
I like that shot there from Jackson Blake off the steal because he knows he's got traffic in front of Carter Hart. Maybe try to get a cheeky little backhand there, maybe a little lift, knowing that he can't see. But we'll go to break. 5:49 left in the third. We're still tied at 4.
what a game we're having here. In a postseason that's been relatively meh for standards, this is, quite frankly, unironically becoming the best game of this postseason.
I don't disagree with you, Alec. I think I would say the same thing. I have yet to call an overtime game myself. I'm just kind of waiting for some of the other heroics and things like that. Leave it to be that two of the best defensive teams are giving you an offensive showcase. And at least for me, whether it's a win or loss for Vegas or Carolina, I'm looking at this for Carolina and I'm saying, hey, they can certainly match offense with the best of them. I'm like what I'm seeing there, and I think that should be good for them moving forward.
Of course that is. And yes, I do remember you did call an overtime game, Buffalo-Montreal Game 7. That was the Alex Nava winner, but nonetheless, it's really good that these two defensive-minded teams are putting up an offensive showing here. I would imagine that if we have overtime here, this is not going deep. It's going to end early.
Yeah, you refreshed my memory there because at overtime I said no because that one ended in about 4 minutes because Alex Newhook. We're just hoping that anyone that gets there, if it's Montreal, just don't get to a game 7 because then you're just going to lose because Newhook's going to win it.
Oh, man. What a postseason that Alex Newhook has had. And he showed himself. He has playoff performer written all over him in Montreal. Same thing with Philip Deneau and Josh Anderson. They won't wow you in the regular season, but you absolutely need them for the playoffs.
Yeah, you got to have gamers, and you can ask the Colorado Avalanche where they would still be if they still had someone like Alex Newhook. They just couldn't get him to score in an Avs uniform.
Well, at least they have Arturi Lehkonen for that matter. True. Who also has playoff performer written all over him.
It's Jankowski now on the draw.
On the offensive zone, the fourth line against the fourth line. Well, Coach Insistence is still out there for the Knights, and Jankowski wins it back for Gostisbehere. As he goes cross ice, he walks around Nick down. A flat from Nikishin. And it's blocked in front, looking for his first goal of the playoffs. Shayne Gostisbehere recollects second stint with the Canes. His previous one was as a rental with the Canes when he was paired next to Jalen Chatfield in 23. Eric Robinson advances the puck ahead up the far side. Cogwin gets shoved away, and down goes Carrier. Onto the ice, he gets back up. Stallings back on the ice. Nikishin, hounded down by Colasar, who backhands it deep. Gostisbehere picks it up away from Cole Smith. Jumping up was referee Chris Rooney. Robinson deflects this one, collected by McNabb. 5 minutes left here in regulation. We're tied at 4, and we still do not have a resolution between these two defensive-minded clubs. Barnook, from the far side, was denied, and the Hurricanes will get this out to center. On a bouncing puck, Ehlers denied entry, still on hat-trick watch. It would be sweet if the third goal would be the go-ahead goal for Carolina if you're a Canes fan. It is Theodore back deep, using the boards to advance up ahead for Brett Howden. Howden can't get this up front, instead dumping to Sid. Chatfield pinned in the near corner. He's helped by Slavin. Eichel dared to help Dorfian. Dorfian! Save Anderson! And he'll hang on with 4:25 left.
I think Carolina's done a good job in this game to lock up number 16, but he just has to go in amongst himself, fire that in between Jarvis and Chatfield, and win a puck battle near the right side corner before he hits that late shove from Svechnikov.
Not exactly landed Donovan-esque, but he did soccer that to himself to win that puck battle along the near corner. Here's Anderson off the faceoff. Fires this off of Anderson's right pad. Freddie Anderson stopping Rasmus Anderson. From the near side, this will be played out by the Canes. They're going to Nice trying to get back on defense, in which they will. Here's Aho walking around, going forehand, backhand. Jarvis feeding this around the boards for Miller. Miller fires, rebound! Hart with the save again. It's kept in by Aho around the boards. Arriving first is Noah Hannafin. Swinging a miss on the clear, and he goes down off a hit from Svechnikov. Poked away up the far side. Svechnikov got it down low for Aho. He's posting it. Jarvis! Saved by Hart! On a one-timer by Seth Jarvis! With 3:43 left, that could have broken the deadlock.
Unbelievable. Carter Hart gets knocked down on his wallet. Jarvis, all he could do was throw swear words at the sky. Absolute robbery with the glove hand. There was a beautiful setup to the right down from Aho. It bounces in and out of the glove. It could have rolled in if not for the second effort by number 79 with a sparkling stop.
Oh, he juggled that one to himself, did Carter Hart. This face-up will stay in the Vegas then is Hurdle and Stankoven to the left of Hart. Shots 27-22. Carolina, the Hurricanes have not been outshot in a playoff game this postseason. Cleared out by the Knights, sprung up to the far corner to Colton Sissons. Nikishin's back, fed to Hurdle. Couldn't pick it up, now he can. Feeds it to the right circle. Backhand pass to Hurdle, he scores! Tomas Hurdle!
Oh my God, what a pass that was. Tomas Hurdle wide open in the middle of the circles on a backhand. And when you got Carolina chasing and in that right corner, Hurdle able to keep working. Who was that? That was Colton Sissons with an unbelievable pass as Hurdle never stopped moving his feet. And they caught 3 of the Canes napping.
That included Jackson Blake, who was a forward back on the fence. And now Carolina trailing again at what has been a back and forth barn burner here at Raleigh, North Carolina. The Hurricanes have not lost more than once in the first 3 rounds. Now Vegas is truly testing them. Efficient goal scoring, efficient shot making. Here's Sean Walker up the far side. This bounces up, and it'll be cleared out through center. Carolina with their backs against the wall for what seems like just the second time this postseason. As we played up the near side by Andre Miller. Sent in deep. It'll go behind Hart, picked up by Lauzon. Anderson wanting to clear. He's tied up by William Carrier from the near corner. Jankowski tying up his man. Carrier's not moving the puck. It'll be played to Miller. Miller also tied up by Mitch Smarter. It'll come to Cole Smith, but not before Lauzon clears it out. Up ahead the far side, William Karlsson. Karlsson sends it around. Theodore for goal and 2 assists. In just over 20 minutes of ice time. Keep an eye on Freddie Anderson when he's going to be pulled. Drop back onto the near side. Not a single seat is occupied. Everybody's on their feet. Mitch Smarter still active on the puck. Howden getting stick lifted as the Canes want to clear this out. On the near side is Seth Jarvis over to Jalen Chatfield. Chatfield shoved towards the Vegas bench. Wanting to shoot this down, but it's blocked. 2 minutes left. Carolina needs to score. The forced overtime. Vegas sends this deep. It'll be played from behind the crease by Freddie Anderson. Nikolaj Ehlers will leave behind. It'll be an all-offensive unit out there for Carolina as Slavin leads the way, far side. Now the net is empty. Anderson to the bench. Rasmus Anderson behind the net gets tied up. Jarvis pokes his free up to the right point. Held in. To Aho. Onto the far corner. Jarvis goes back for Aho. Aho. And a miscommunication for Sean Walker that sees this go all the way down. 1:25 left in the third period. Carolina needs to score here. 6 men on the ice for the Canes. Stankoven's line is out there. Svechnikov stays on. Through the far side. McNabb standing in the way. Another clear by the Knights. Rolling and it ends up well wide of the net. The benefit is Carolina gets an icing out of it. And the Golden Knights will likely get a breather if Brind'Amour calls a timeout.
Buck 6 left to go in this third. This has been breathtaking if you're a fan of offense. Again, we're talking about 2 defensive teams. 9 goals scored, and it looks like, yes, we're going to get that talking over near the right side. As Freddie Anderson, all he can do is look on, hoping for another avenue of life here as both of these teams are meeting at the bench.
Now, this goes to overtime. Do note that both teams are undefeated in overtime this postseason. Vegas is 3-0. Carolina is 5-0 and have won 7 consecutive postseason overtime games, including a pair of double overtime winners, one against New Jersey, one against Ottawa. The turning point was the Carter Hart save in which he juggled the puck to himself on a Seth Jarvis one-timer. That turned this game around, and Tomas Hurdle's goal stands as the go-ahead goal. Should Vegas win, it'll be the game winner.
Man, oh man, I don't even know what to say. I know it's been a good game for us to call. I'm hoping the best for you, but I will say if it ends up going the way it could with 106, I still think you look at Carolina's offense, you point to some of the good things there, knowing it can lead into game 2. You just want to be able to put hammer and nails and get the series tied up. And hell, try to tie it up now. It's 106 left to go in the third.
We rarely see a 6-5 overtime final score. I believe it's not since the Arturi Lehkonen overtime winner against Edmonton in 2022 that we've had a 6-5 overtime final score in the playoffs. It's Jordan Staal and Nick Dowd both are very even at the faceoff dot. Staal is 8 of 15. Dowd is 2 of 5. He hasn't been utilized in the faceoff dot very much. It'll come to the right of Carter Hart. It's a false start against Dowd. 66 seconds is what's left here in regulation. Carolina trying to tie it up, force overtime. Jarvis, Aho, Svechnikov, Ehlers, and Gostisbehere. Crowd is getting restless, waiting for the puck to be dropped. And fans are still impatiently waiting for the puck to be dropped. Now it's won by Jordan Staal. And now goes one of the Knights, and it comes rolling out after a shot is blocked. Last minute of regulation. Will we see overtime, or will we see Vegas win this in regulation? Here is Gostisbehere up for Ehlers. Ehlers gets knocked away at the puck, and it'll come back down for Cole Smith. Smith is running out some time before it's poked away by Ehlers. 40 seconds. Then pass is blocked, and Carolina will send this deep. Hart plays it behind. McNabb on the clear. Can't get this one out. Jordan Staal is on the hold. 30 seconds left through the far side. Pope loses. Held by Carolina. Here's Gostisbehere as he walks in. Gostisbehere saved by Hart with 22.3. Time will stop.
And with Shayne Gostisbehere, I'm going to say this point blank. He's been the one I trust on the defensive side to get things done. It seems like everybody's backing up when he's got the puck right now. He might be enough to get another one.
You think that Seth Jarvis would deflect the top right corner? He just jumped out the way, saying, "Shoot your shot, not Gostisbehere." Well, I don't blame Gostisbehere for firing that shot. Sometimes you have to deflect it to a corner in which the goaltender can reach it. Hall was down on the ice to take this face-off against Colton Sissons, who's been excellent. Well, it's not Hall to take the face-off. Once again, it's Jordan Staal. Staal wins another. Here's Stankoven, who loses it. It rolls down for center. He picks it up. Backhanded further. Carolina has to get something going here fast. Here's Jackson Blake. Backhands to nobody. And up the near boards, it'll go down for an icing with 5.6. It's now or never in game 1.
Yes, it is. You get a little bit of fortunate there for the icing, but a mishandle for Stankoven. It was an easy enough face-off win that killed much needed time for Vegas. And then Jackson Blake, I know you're in a rush, but there's nobody there. Now they got to force to win this draw here with the captaincy and Staal. You got to win it straight back. You got Eichel and Marner. You got the top unit there.
You think Vegas is going to load up the slot to prevent anybody from getting shots up of the middle. But you have to be better at holding in the puck here in 6-on-5 situations. Staal, the Stankoven, the Nikishin up blast. That goes wide. Oh, last effort, blocked, and that's going to do it. The Vegas Golden Knights have handed the Carolina Hurricanes just their second loss of the postseason and take game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final.
So which way? That's the 50-50 question. That do you want to look at this? Because I'll actually take glass half full for Carolina. I don't normally do that in terms of a team that lost, especially if coming off with the Vegas situation between Colorado. But for Carolina, you scored 4 goals. You had the offensive intensity that I didn't think you were going to be able to show at all times against Vegas. And you know what? Even for a rough second period that Carolina had, there was plenty of moments in this game, Alec, where they bounced back, took the next set of 10, took the next set of 6 or 8, and pushed forward. Do I think there's going to be 9 goals scored in game 2? Absolutely not. Offense is going to come a little bit harder, but I do think Carolina has some things that they can use moving forward. But I think we'll all agree with this. They really need to find a way to win on Thursday night and get this series back to even before they go to Sin City.
I'll agree with that wholeheartedly. That even though Carolina lost, Rod Brind'Amour and company should take this with the glass half full approach. There's a lot to build on here. The offensive momentum from the start Nikolaj Ehlers getting off to that hot start.
Yeah.
And not to mention the Shayne Gostisbehere triangle. You got to get more lanes open, though. But you have to protect the slot better in game 2 as opposed to what would happen in game 1.
Yes.
Because Tomas Hertl's game-winning goal came from the slot. And also, those offensive chances. It's good to get offensive chances, and you can build on that for one. Because there seems to be a way to crack the Vegas' defensive structure. And that statement does not come easy. Because Carolina, most certainly they did, and beat Vegas several times defensively. So, in the moments that matter most, you need to be better at keeping the puck in the zone at 6-on-5. Because those 6-on-5 sequences from the Canes at the end stage of the game, those were some sloppy minutes.
Yeah.
But mostly it's been a good game for Carolina. But at that last second, it was none other than Mitch Marner for the game-winning block.
Yeah, how about that? Again, that comes as no surprise. You had a couple of long shifts there for Vegas, which we talked about, which ended up turning into goals that you would like to see Carolina work on for game 2. Definitely some things that they want to move on from and fix. And I'll just leave this too, because we could talk about all the nice things for Vegas and what they've done well, but I wanted to take the other approach for once. We'll see what happens for Carolina in game 2 and what they change. I want to see them fix some things on defense and move forward. Should they not be able to do so, then we can talk about Freddie Anderson. But I'm going to give him a couple games in the pipes, and I'm going to expect Carolina to fix some things before we talk about a different conversation.
I'm with you there, John. I don't expect this being a 2-0 series lead, but game 2 should be a much more defensively tight game in comparison to what was shown in game 1. Freddie Anderson has been okay for the most part, but game 2, he has to be better by the stats. Some of the goals he allowed were not his fault because there were some defensive breakdowns that came in front of him. But game 2, we'd expect to see a much hungrier Freddie.
I agree. I think everything was all well said. I can't wait until Thursday. This game was a heck of a lot of fun. Look, we're not expecting 9 goals as we mentioned, but if this was an appetizer, I hope it's going to be a long series because this was a memorable one, that's for sure.
It is. So, on to Thursday for game 2. We'll have you right back for the coverage here. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Alec Nava, John, and Genge with you, saying so long from Lenovo Center. Good night, everyone.
Take care, guys. There you have it. Alec Nava gave us the final call. I carried through most of the second and the third from the front half, but 5-4 Vegas win. And that was breathtaking. 9 total goals. And we'll see what we get on Thursday. Again, I'll join in progress. He's on air about 8 p.m. I join about 8:10, and we'll get things going again. I think probably by the time the weekend side, I'll make sure that I maybe change this so you can see the box score there. But since I already had set up with the webcam, it didn't carry everything else over as far as like the stats. But we'll get that going again. I'll probably fix that for Thursday. You guys be well, and we'll see you. Vegas takes a 1-0 series lead. They win 5-4. Talk soon. Peace.